That's cool. But you're living in a fucking dream world, okay?
Hey, look at us.
Look at us. Huh? Who would have thought? Not me.
You are watching the Vodka stream.
What is happening, guys? It is Friday. How's everybody doing? TGI. Fuck yeah. I don't know why I just said it like that, but I did. How you guys doing? We good? Hello. Who's out there? Talk to me. Talk to me. Tell me your name. Yeah, I was held up in the lab. You're absolutely right there, DC. Was. Was. What's going on there, Jason? Yes. The bell's been rung. Let's see what's going on there. Marvin, what's up there? Mr. Eric. Got Will. Hey, I got Mama Film Junkie here. What is up, Mom? Hi. Hello. How's it going? Let's see. How you doing, Alaksu? Happy Friday. Definitely. What's going on there, Ram? Hello. Sentient? Sorry. Sentient Salt. Good name. How you doing? Doing pretty good, guys. Doing pretty good. Cheers. Oh, yeah, cheers. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Definitely did. Start next week sometime, whenever, the PP test comes through, the PP results. So, yeah, let me pour a drink here. Let me go through and say hello to everybody. So, what's going on there, Mr. Jason? How you doing, bud? Yes, we got agree to disagree. I like that. Hey. What's going on, Anthony? Hey, Mr. Scott McClellan. I know your name. You know my name. Yes. What's going on there? Saguando? Yeah. I'm sorry. I probably butchered that. I apologize. What's going on, Mike G? How you doing? All right. Oops. I forgot to do. Like I said, I was doing some things here, so that's why I got a little held up. It was mainly to do with, I don't know if you guys have noticed something new on the wall, the Vodka stream wall. I don't know if you guys noticed something, maybe, possibly, as I pour a drink. I'm sure you guys can see it, right? You guys see what's the new little added little decoration on the wall? I'll go ahead and pour myself a drink. I'm not going to be standing the whole time, by the way. I just thought I'd start off by standing. It's like you just get to the bar, you get to the lounge, It's only when the knees start buckling a little bit. So you see it? You see it? Yeah. As you can see, because at first I had it higher up on the wall, but you couldn't see it. So I went, hey, you know what? Greetings and salutations. Yes, the flag right there. As you can see right there, I'm going to show you right now who made this for me. It was actually the guy. It was Mr. Matthew Benoit who actually won the contest. He won the contest when, remember, I was given a gift card for 1 free month of HBO Max. He's actually the guy who won, who guessed how many, he was the closest to how many Funko Pops I have when it comes to, how many I have in my collection right now. So he sent me that. I'm going to show you the page right here because he makes these from, he makes them from scratch, or, he builds them perfectly. It's him handcrafting these little flags right here, and they're pretty damn awesome. So let me share the page right here. I'll show you guys. Let's see. Share the page. He's just got an Instagram page. He doesn't have like a full-on business page, but here's his page right here. And as you can see, that's what it looks like right there. That's what he sent me. He's got other ones too, where he puts different things on them, puts different logos and stuff on them. But yeah, he makes these. Look at that. Got this one right here, the Disneyland one. So yeah, he just makes these out of wood. Pretty awesome stuff. Yeah. So go check it out, guys. I have his link to his Instagram right down below. So go check it out. Show him some love. But yeah, he sent me that. So I had to, of course, put it up on the Vodka Stream Lounge wall right there. So good stuff. But yeah, it's cool. It's beautiful. It's quite beautiful. Yeah, when it showed up just in time today. And I'm really digging it. So yeah, so thank you, Matthew, if you're out there. Appreciate it, sir. And then I got another thing that I was going to talk about. It's all her now. I don't even know where. Yeah, but also got another thing too, guys. A buddy of mine made this drinking game called Junkee. As you can see right here, I'm going to pull up the page right here. And essentially, It's Uno, but with drinks. That's two loves of mine together. I love playing Uno. I used to play Uno online like crazy, but now it incorporates drinking. Like special cards. Drink 2, draw 2. Yeah. Let me pull up this page too. He's got it on Amazon right now. But yeah, I posted it on my Twitter earlier. Which page is it? But I haven't played it yet because there's a pandemic still happening. I know. I shouldn't stop me. I actually went to my friend's house last weekend and I totally forgot about it. I was like, damn it. I even brought it. It was in my bag. But we were too busy like catching up and drinking that I totally forgot to plug it. Okay, I got too many damn tabs open. So here it is right here. I also got this link down below too. It's yeah. So essentially, if you like Uno and you want to incorporate drinking, you got it right here. Rhymes with Juno. See, I love the fact it says party version of a classic card game that rhymes with Juno. What is that? Card games right there. So it's good stuff. Thought I saw you in here. Christina. Is Thomas in here with you? Because that's who made the game. Thought I saw her earlier. I don't know. The chat's all crazy, but yeah. So just thought I'd give him a plug because he sent me over a deck, and he sent me a note. He sent me a Batman mask. I don't know if you guys saw what the Batman mask with the face on it. So he sent me that and also a little note that said hashtag restore the Snyderverse. So we got people that want to do that. There she is. Hi, Christina. So got that too. That's right. Yeah. So yeah, go check it out. It's only $14. Have a little fun with it. Like I said, I haven't played it yet. But as soon as the next time I go to like a little gathering, I'm definitely gonna bring it and try it out because, like I said, I love Uno and I love drinking. Yeah, that's right. Good stuff. Anyways, what else did I have? Oh yeah, God, it's just full of plugs today, guys. Full of plugs. That's right. Not those kind of weirdos, but also, don't forget tomorrow, guys, there's a little Snyder Cut party that's happening. I got too many damn tabs open. All right, so here we go. This is why I'm standing up. But remember my buddy Eric Z is going to be he's hosting a Snyder Cut party. It's not a watch party. I think I got a little confused, and I think other people got confused that we didn't like it was going to be a watch party. No, it's just a virtual dance party. So basically through Zoom. If you go, the link is provided down below. It's from 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time to 10, I think, or is it Eastern? Let me see. He's got it right here. I think he said, okay, it says 8 p.m. to 11 p.m. So it's Pacific Standard Time. So there you go. DJ and everything. And then, of course, yeah, you can get in there and, yeah, we could just do the whole virtual party thing. So I'm going to stop by. I'm going to join up, I don't know if I'm going to dance, but yeah, so we'll see what happens. So go check it out. Yeah, apparently it's like a dance party. Who knows? If you want to do some dancing in the comfort of your own home in front of your camera, just, keep the clothes on. It's not going to be an OnlyFans stream. So, but unless, you want to do that. But yeah, let's see. Yeah. So we got all that. Got all the plugs. There you go. So there we go, guys. So you got to look at Matthew Benoit's craftsmanship. Go look at his page. Go check out Amazon. Pick yourself a deck of Junkee, and then go ahead and RSVP at for the party tomorrow. So we'll be doing that. And I'm also going to be doing the Patreon stream tomorrow. I'm going to do it since the dance party's at 8, or the Snyder Cup party is at 8. I'm going to do the fan stream at 6 or 5 or 6. I don't know yet. So you patrons out there, if you want to become part of the Film Junkie Patreon, that of course is down below. And I'm going to invite in patrons that want to come in and talk to me. And well, of course, I think we'll talk about a little movie that might have just came out just recently. I don't know. But anyways, guys, cheers. Cheers. Happy Friday. You need a shirt? Yeah, you need this. Oh, yeah, if you want the shirt that I'm wearing, my Vodka stream shirt, if you want my face on your chest, go for it. It's down in the Film Junkie closet. Do it. So thank you guys for showing up, of course. But man, guys, today, I got to go to the movies today. Obviously, you saw my first reaction review to Nobody, which highly recommend. I'm going to do my full review tomorrow sometime, whenever I have time. I'll do my full review tomorrow, but yeah, it was just fantastic. I drove over to, my hometown, I guess you'd say, because, it's just over the hill that way. And I didn't want to go to the movie theater here. The Harkins here is okay, but they were like not showing anything till 2:00. And I went, no, that's too late. So they were showing stuff at like 11 and 12 o'clock over at the other Harkins, the more luxury Harkins that has reclined seats and beer. So this one doesn't have any of that. So, hey, thank you, sir. Mr. McKenzie, hashtag restore the Snyderverse. Zack Snyder's Justice League 2 and Zach we trust. And also Ann with the plan. Sarnoff sucks. I know. Ann with the plan. But anyway, so wait your turn. You guys are getting frisky already. Sounds like you guys have been pre-gaming already in the live chat, but no. So I went over there. Yeah, my showing was at noon, which was cool, and it was in the big, huge theater, and it was great, man. Just walked in. I felt like Nicolas Cage coming out of the bus or the plane. I don't know which, the bus, I think, right? The beginning of Con Air, where he just, that iconic shot of him just like smelling the freedom. I mean, this was like, I was smelling popcorn and hot dogs, but still, it was nice to get that movie theater scent hit me right in the face, even though I was wearing a mask, because, hey, guess what? Things get through the mask. It's not like it totally blocks everything. But, let's see, a game of drinking next Vodka stream. I know that'd be cool, but I don't know how we could pull that off. With virtually. If there was like some kind of online game, or maybe eventually it'll get to the point where it's online game. But yeah, that would be cool to play that through the vodka stream, do a little drinking game or something. But anyway, so walk in there, of course, and then walk over to the bar area, get a beer, 2 beers, one for the road, and just make my way to the seat, man. And it was great. Just reclined, big, huge screen, felt nice. And there wasn't too many people in there. And of course, they space everybody out. It's probably about 25 to 30% capacity. It's kind of strange because when I went to purchase the tickets online, it was like they had just 2 seats, like just two, and then spaced out by 3, just two, and then 1 every now and wherever, So it was interesting. But of course, you're supposed to be wearing the mask all the time. But dude, there was nobody people. I mean, what are you gonna do? You're drinking something, you're eating something, you're gonna pull your mask down. It's just the way it is. So my mask was like, it wasn't fully on, guys. Yes, I know I'm a serial killer. I get it. No, but I think we'll be all right. Everybody was pretty spaced out, and I think we'll be good. And I think I'm, I don't have any. I think I have, if anything, I have antibodies, right? Hopefully, I still do. I don't know how long those last. I don't know. I probably killed them all with alcohol. No, but no, my everything was strong. Each time I say, yeah, there you go. I like that. But anyway, so it was cool. And as soon as the lights came on and the music started playing, oh man, I got all giddy. I felt like a kid inside. Turned off my phone, turned on airplane mode because that's what I do. I just completely shut off the world and just watched the movie, and it was absolutely fantastic. So. Man, so I can't even remember the last time I went to that specific movie theater. I'm trying to remember. I think I saw The Way Back. I think that was the last movie I saw. No, I saw that over here. I can't remember the last movie I saw over there. I really can't. The last movie I saw, period, in a movie theater was Tenet, but I had to drive all the way down to San Diego, like an hour and a half down to San Diego when that came out. And that wasn't even that, it wasn't as comfortable. But yeah, man. So it was great. Zach is producing the Suicide Squad. Well, him and Debbie are executive producers because essentially, again, guys, some of these characters, are coming from his world. They are offshoots of his world. Harley Quinn, Rick Flag, Captain Boomerang are essentially from the first Suicide Squad that is set fully, and of course, Amanda Waller too. It's pretty much set, and he started the foundation, so of course he's going to be executive producing. It was kind of weird to see his name right there, and like right below it said Walter Hamada. Oh God, that cat sucker. Yeah, but yeah. So did the same thing today. Saw nobody at my local AMC at 4:30. Was so good going back to the cinema again. Yes, and I hopefully enjoyed the movie, man. I tell you what, I'll do my full review tomorrow, but it's a slow start, but man, when it gets to where it needs to get to, my God, I enjoyed the shit out of it. Man. Can't wait to. It's highly recommended, but I'll talk about it a little more during my my full review and everything. Bob Odenkirk. If you like Bob Odenkirk, you're gonna like it. You're gonna like it a lot. That he surprised me, man. He had some moves. He was doing that choreography. He got in pretty good shape too. He was pretty lean. So I was like, good on him. Better Call Saul. Better Call Saul kicking some ass. So I mean, if you got Saul, you have Saul Goodman kicking ass. But of course, he's not very Saul Goodman in this. He's more, he's not as outgoing as he was. But there is one scene in there. You ever just laugh at a scene that you can't stop laughing at? Like the scene's been over for like 2.5 minutes and you're still laughing at something that happened. There's a part in that movie that got me just like that, where I was tearing up because it was so just random and funny that I couldn't stop laughing. I could not stop laughing. So if you don't like Bob, yeah, I know exactly. Who doesn't like Bob Odenkirk, man? That doesn't even make sense. What was I going to do here? Okay, let me start bringing some people in here. Sorry I didn't get a guest today, guys. I reached out to someone and didn't get back to me. They didn't get back to me, so it's all good. I figured it was going to be like kind of like a spoiler discussion part. It was going to be that today. And of course, there's a lot of other things to talk about. And so we'll just get people coming on in here, and we'll have like a different kind of group of people. And don't worry, I'll get Garza in here this time. I will not forget that this time, or not mess up with that. Will not mess up that one. So just go down the row here, start sending out the invites. But yeah, it was just great to go to the movies again, man. Oh man, it was just so fantastic. All right, so we got that. Let's see who else. Start sending these invites. Man, my DMs are a mess. I tell you what, but yeah, if you can go to your local movie theater, man, and you're okay with it, then just jump on in there. Let's see. What the heck? I was going to say, okay, hold on. Yeah. All right. Let's already, let me get my tweets all ready to go here. Need more room up here. All right. And hopefully you guys, I don't know how many times you guys have watched the Justice is Gray edition of Zack Snyder's Justice League. Something very, I don't know. It's a special version. It definitely is. Let's see. This guy's joined the stream. If I spell that right. Yeah. Not that. Not that. Jeez. But yeah, it's definitely a special version of the film. I mean, it feels like a film, like an actual film, There we go. All right, we got Mr. Scott McClellan joining in, the all-star of last week's.
I still appreciate the fact that you left my like blank little square up there for like the entire. I went back and watched. I was like, dude, no, he really did keep my square up there the entire time.
I did.
Like,
I thought maybe you were gonna pop back in.
No. I was passed out on the floor upstairs. It was not pretty. It was not pretty.
Yeah. How'd you feel the next day?
Like crap. Like absolute crap.
Little zombified, kind of struggling to get up a little bit.
Oh my God, yes. That was. It's been a while, Dave.
Yeah,
it's been a while since I've been 2008.
Since that drunk.
Since that, I mean,
wow.
like praying to the porcelain god. Like it's been 2008. My wife threw me a surprise birthday party when we were dating. That was the last time I got that.
Wow.
Messed up.
Well, hey, we had reason to celebrate. It was a good week.
Exactly.
Oh. What are you sipping on today? You're going easy today. No Jameson, huh?
Oh no. This is a Fair Hope 51 Pale Ale. It's a local brewery in Alabama. So
that's cool. Hey, are you getting affected by any of the tornado storm shit that's happening?
Well, my entire family was in that room over there with the doors shut with bicycle helmets on for about an hour or more. It missed us by like a few miles going south, and then headed straight to my parents, and then but then luckily skewed south and missed them. But it was when I tweeted yesterday, I'm having a beer. I think some people misunderstood the context of why I was having a beer.
Yeah, I think people were probably thinking you were celebrating the fact that the hashtag was going crazy.
No. It was the fact that literally all day it was like, how many different times did tornadoes touch down? And like, okay, is this one affecting us? Yeah. And I had 3 kids who were all getting cabin fever, and we're trying to play like Uno and Candyland. And it was just like, Daddy needs a drink.
Yes, I can imagine. When I lived in Alabama, we never really, I mean, there was one night I remember we had a really bad storm and the sirens went off. And I think there was one other time where a funnel cloud like formed in the next town over or something like that. We never had like any kind of close tornado stuff when I lived there for the 3 years that I remember living there.
Oh, it's just gotten worse. And this is tornado season, March, April. This is when it's bad for us. Yeah. So
yeah, tornado season. Yay.
By the way, I DM'd you and you were getting ready for the show. Do you need a 4K code for Man of Steel?
4K code. I mean, we could always give one away. Could do something like that. Something else. Okay.
I was updating my physical collection, putting some 4K discs and some steel books I've got up there, and I already owned it. So, and they all come with these digital codes. It was just like, I was just like, I got an extra one that I don't need. So, me, I always give back.
Give back. Give to the community.
I give it to you. The people. There you go.
All right, we got Mr. Steven Colbert.
There's Steven.
Hey. What's up, sir?
How you Congrats, doing? Steven, on your attempt at my log off last week. I appreciate that. It was it was a valiant attempt. I will admit that.
Yeah. Well, I figured I was going to do it better than whatever you would have done if you were still around. So no harm in trying.
Like not. Like just it was either going to be you or it just wasn't going to happen. It was bad. Oh my God, the notifications I woke up to that morning were
everybody was loving it. Yes, everybody was loving it, man. It was just kind of funny. That's why I was thinking this could be like spoiler discussion part 2, but I think we got like maybe halfway through, and then it turned into an "I love you, man" kind of stream. And it's just kind of like, yeah. It turned into that kind of stream, man.
Guilty as charged.
There was nothing wrong with that, man. We had every reason to fucking celebrate like that.
And poor Mario. Mario wanted to talk about the movie.
I think he talked a lot. He was talking a lot about it. What I liked about hearing from him is like he said, he wasn't huge. He was kind of give or take when it came to Snyder's Superman. And then for him to see Superman in this movie completely. That was the Superman he was waiting to see right there. He flipped 100% where he's going, okay, I get it now. Now, when you see, and other people are doing that too, they're going back and watching Man of Steel and BVS and going, oh,
yeah,
I get it.
I'm going to know that for so many people, and I had a show. I was on Mario's show yesterday. Yeah. I guess it counts as a plug, right?
Sure. Fanboy podcast. I saw the tweet. Yes.
And he's talked about this a little bit before, and he talked about it on the show also, but that one of the things that he came to learn after like Snyder was done and everything was like all said and done was I'm getting feedback now and it's making me lose my train of thought. He said that knowing that there was a fixed endpoint made the totally recontextualize kind of the way he saw it, where he's like, you know what, it's not my favorite take, but knowing that like the darker version of Superman or whatever you want to call it, I know some people take offense with the word dark, but like this take on the character is a lot easier to take if you know, oh, there's just 2 more movies, and then it's done, and it's like, oh, so they're going somewhere with this, and you know what, even if I don't like it, it's something that I can package up and take it or leave it and move on, not something I have to watch for 5-10 more years, and which totally changed everything. And then now that he saw what happens in Justice League, it allows him to look back and know when he's watching BVS and watching Man of Steel, and there's these things that before he was like not a fan of, he has faith that like because he's seen it, he's like, oh, now I know that they paid that off, and before it was like I just had to trust that was where Snyder was going to take it. Which that's just, I guess, people approach stories in different ways.
I mean that's partially why they had that the set visit, right? Because they were kind of, hey, you know how you guys have been not so happy with this? Hey, come over here. Look what we're doing. Okay. I mean, but at that time, were they actually shooting the part with Superman all in it and everything?
No, they wouldn't even talk about Superman on the set visit.
See, that's what. So still, people were probably wondering what the hell.
Yeah, well, that was something they talked about on the. If anyone's seen the HBO Max documentary, The Road to Justice League or whatever it's called, how they. I think there's a quote from Deborah where she talks about that's kind of the benefit of Zack starting off with the deconstruction, is that everybody has always said no, you can't deconstruct, you got to build them up and then you have something to deconstruct. You shouldn't do The Dark Knight Returns first, but the benefit of doing that first and getting BVS out as the second movie is that now Justice League is that much more triumphant. Batman is this heroic. He's not only risen to become a leader of a team, but he's overcome his own personal demons already. And now we've seen Justice League, and now we don't need to see. Well, the next movie is The Nightmare, so I don't know. But
that's why you have to go to that. That's why you have to go to that level. It's like, okay, we already did this, and now we're gonna go fucking
yeah, exactly. But what you see is, again, in The Nightmare, though, is he fights through that to become to realize that his role in life is to give his life up for Superman, and that means so much more having seen him holding a kryptonite spear to Superman's throat.
Right.
So yeah.
Hey, Steven, I wanted to ask you. So, have you had a chance to watch Justice is Gray yet?
It's been like a background watch like a couple times because I love just having it on for ambience and but I haven't sit down and given it like a watch.
Okay. Because I wanted to ask. So I guess I'll leave. Okay, Steven, you go sit in the corner, and I'll talk to Dave.
I mean, I watch individual scenes. I just haven't given it like a don't blink for 4 hours watch yet.
Okay, Dave, I'm curious. You were kind of starting to say it right when you were bringing us on, but what were your thoughts about Justice is Gray?
I mean, like I said, it's something unique and it's something special because, the whole history behind why it is, and I'm actually going to be doing like a whole video about that. But the reason why it is, why it exists, and I mean, there's this how Zack has talked about. I'm starting to hear feedback now. Is that good? No, we're good. All right. No, when Zack has been talking about it for the past year about why it exists. So there's something special about it, the fact that we've seen all these images in black and white, but the feel of it, it's just crazy that you're actually watching this 4-hour Justice League movie with all these characters, huge scope, and it's in 4:3 ratio, and it's in black and white. I mean, how unique is that? I mean, usually like these movies, they have to be, full of color and they have to look a certain way. The fact that he's just like, nah, let's put a black and white version. Let's make it art house as fuck, with a 4:3 ratio. There's something I just love about that. And it's just, when you watch it, yeah, it's definitely like a different kind of watch. There's certain things, it's especially those scenes that are very colorful, like the Flash scenes, you're wondering how they're going to play out. And I thought they played out pretty beautifully in black and white. I don't know how you felt about it, Scott. I
think it will be one of my go-to preferred versions to watch the movie, actually.
Nice. Yeah. I think I'll go back and forth.
Oh, no, and that'll have to, but I actually would find myself, kind of leaning on the Justice is Gray version more for a couple of reasons. One, I noticed details in different scenes, especially scenes that had more CGI in them. Little details popped in the black and white, like Victor's nightmare. I could clear as day see the Robin suit in the upper right hand corner of the screen, because things that were distracting me were stripped away, and it just made it very crystal clear, and stuff popped more in the black and white. And also, and I don't know so I think we kind of talked about this last week, but there's some VFX, some CGI that's still not fully cooked. It could have been in the oven a little bit longer, but the black and white of it
hides that.
Hides hides it completely. And they've talked about that. Like that was the reason it was in black and white when the VFX were not done.
Exactly.
But it does the same thing with some of those scenes, like some of the stuff in Victor's Nightmare, or a lot of the Superman stuff that I have criticized in the final battle, where it just like the green screen just doesn't look quite as crisp. But in the black and white Justice's Gray version, and all that, just I can let all that go because it doesn't.
It hides it.
It hides it. It really does. So,
it does make everything you don't even notice any of the little that's a little could have been a little more another another thing of polish might have been on that just a little bit or something. And I mean, like I said, we've talked about that for a while, and that's what he does. I mean, that's why he never shoots anything in broad daylight, first off. And Debbie even brought it up recently that was one of the reasons when they showed people that just to hide those unfinished spots, it just kind of helped out just to hide those little imperfections. And it's he's smart, he's a photographer, he knows what to utilize when it comes to his shots and and everything. So it's great. But let me before you start talking, I think you're gonna say something, Steven, but we'll bring in Ben. Hey Ben.
Hey, what's going on, fellas?
How's it going?
How you guys doing?
So you get invited this week, right?
Yeah.
Let me understand. Okay, good. Okay.
No, we got invited last week too. It's just
I saw.
Yeah, I know, but no, I was I wasn't gonna come in last week. I was dealing with something in the family.
Some family.
Well, Ben, here's what you missed. I want to hug you, Ben. I want to hug you. Okay, there you go.
No, I didn't miss that. I watched all of it.
Oh man,
I watched all of it.
Oh God,
it's okay. We all loved it. No, but how's it going, Ben? How you doing?
It's going good. Listening to you guys talking about Justice Gray, and I liked it just as much. And I agree with Scott. A lot of stuff that was was not polished all the way through, that needed a little bit of more time in the oven. It hit it perfectly. There's a couple of scenes I'm like, oh my God, this could have used a little bit of fine tuning. But when I watch it in black and white, it just nothing jumped at me. I was like, oh, that could have been fixed.
There's something about the nightmare scene too that's in black and
white.
Yes.
It just makes it a lot more just eerier. Just you get that atmosphere a lot more where it's just
the contrast on the Joker's face.
The history lesson is also really cool to watch in black and white.
Yeah.
I know. I saw a comment that I thought was cool on Twitter. Someone said that it made it feel like a Kurosawa film.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think is because I know that there was a little bit of inspiration in the first place anyway, but I liked the I think I agree with everything that everyone is saying, but also that there is it's not just a desaturated, it's also like the contrast is pumped and balanced in different ways.
Yeah.
And so you really get like some of the shadows or the any of the detail and things like I said, like with Joker's makeup, around his eyes is like way darker.
Yeah, it's not like they just turn on the black and white filter. I mean, it takes they go through every little
No, they got it graded.
Yeah, they got to make it.
Looks amazing. I mean, it's even the stuff, and we're talking about like hiding the more I don't know. I don't want to use the word underbaked again because I the more I watch it, the less the CGI kind of stands out to me personally. But it makes the CGI less stand out less. But also even the CGI that looked great in the first place, like with Steppenwolf, he looks like something else in black and white because he's so you've got a lot of contrast with him because every little layer has a deep black under it. And so the texture that you have in his armor, really pops out. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
And the light reflecting off his armor really pops and shines. And he just looks he looks sharper in the black and white.
And that's one of the things with Snyder's color in general that kind of people always go to is it gets criticized for not being saturated enough or not being bright enough. But it's not that it's not bright enough. It's that he plays with the whole spectrum in the, you know, he uses more of the colors in his toolbox. And so, but as a result of that, you get like deep blacks and bright whites. And so that means often like you play with those like primary colors a little bit less. And so it might not look as like colorful as like a Marvel movie or something, which is funny because those, I don't think are even that colorful, but
maybe Thor
Ragnarok. It's the like the dynamic range and the contrast that really does his visual style justice. And so the black and white is just like a pure, like it's all lighting, it's all contrast, it's all shading, and that's like his biggest strengths, I think, as a visualist. And so it kind of just says, forget about everything else. This is just pure color or pure dynamic range that we're leaning on for the look.
I love the super chat so much.
You're right. We are really talking about how we watch. Yeah, exactly. What a time to be alive, man. I mean, seriously. I mean, this. I mean,
hey, look at us. Look at us. Huh? Who would have thought? Not me.
I mean, come on, guys. It is crazy to think about it. And the fact that the hash. Well, you know, speaking of black and white, I mean, we can't not talk. I mean, I had to take pictures of it when I watched it. The Batman scenes on top of Gotham PD with the bat signal, Gordon, everything like that. Oh my God, that made me want like that super noir Batman right there. You got him just standing there. It's funny too because when you see that shot that he actually posted a long time ago too, I remember when you actually see that first shot of Gordon looking up, it actually looks black and white in the regular version. I thought I was like, that looks almost black and white right there.
It's kind of funny that when I have it on. I'll be working on something and I'll have it on, and I'll leave the room and I'll come back, or I'll look over and see out of the corner of my eye and I'll like second guess, like, wait, is that the color version or I thought I had the.
There's sometimes where
it's like really way more vibrant. Like I said, it's not just desaturated. Like there are things that are popping in it that your eyes kind of fill in the color because you have that kind of amount of detail in there. Whereas just a normal desaturation, you're going to get a lot more like bland gray kind of middle tones. And this is definitely not that.
I thought the whole scene when they were in Themyscira, the whole ambiance, the color made it feel like it was a whole different movie. Like when it went when it went into that section of the movie where they were in Themyscira, it just felt like a completely disconnected entire movie that was just like throwing in. Yes,
there's something about like when they're on the horses, like just those shots in black and white. For some reason,
and when they took that shot, like they were off the battle. Were they showing like us the just people from Themyscira, not the warriors. Even that shot right there, it felt like, oh, this is like, if it took me back to the 300 movie. It felt that way.
Well, or also the football scene with the snow coming down. That was the way that scene is lit. It's very, very, very dark. And there's a lot of shadows, and like Vic is kind of running in the shadows. But then in the foreground, you've got the snow, and you've got like the bright lights hitting the snow. So there's a lot of shine on them, and it's almost like. The contrast in that scene is pumped to the point where it almost looks like something from Sin City, where you've got just like the stark white against the stark black. And like snow is a crazy way to do that because literally you have a completely black backdrop in some sections, but because of this light is shining through the snow is glowing white. Or the other thing I was going to say about Ben said Themyscira, Zach, whenever this is not unique to him, but whenever he does like armor or kind of that like medieval or fantasy stuff, like with 300 or like with this or Sucker Punch, there's character in the metal, or I mean, even Batman's armor suit, his medals always have scratches and dings, but it's not just scratches and dings. There's grooves and there's always shading in there, like dirt is crusted in it or whatever. And it's that type of thing that once again, when you go to the black and the white and you increase that contrast, that kind of stuff looks really cool. I mean, like watching this, I've seen some like cool black and white shots of 300 before, but watching this, I was like, I need to see a black and white version of 300. That would be amazing too. I
wonder if he has one of those. And we got somebody else backstage, and he needs no introduction. And I have, Mr. Garza, I have a perfect drop for you right here.
so sorry.
That was perfect for last week when I, failed to put the link in the group chat. Okay.
No, I almost. Not only did I almost block you, I almost followed you, and I almost and it was literally like it's drafted of talking shit and tweets about you. I'm just kidding.
I know.
You almost went on like a
We all
30
believe
tweet
you.
thread.
We all believe you.
And then I didn't realize because Garth was literally in the chat going, "Look over here."
I was like, "What are we doing?" Like, okay, all right. Well, I'm going to bed.
And like the whole time, I'm like, "Where's Ben and Garza?" And then I saw like the file. I was like, "Oh shit!" Oh man,
All right, man. I got it. No, it's all right.
it's good.
I got it.
Yeah, you got it. Well, yeah, it's fine. All right. I know. I got to make it up to you. I get it. No, but thank you for joining, Garza. We're just talking about the black and white version. And have you watched it all the way, the black and white version, or the gray?
I haven't watched it all the way. I've watched it in parts just because I had it playing. And what's funny is, I get that it hides the imperfections a lot, right? I mean, that's the cool thing. But I'm just thinking back to whenever I said that the fucking film said it needed work because that's why it was in black and white. I literally said it's in black and white to hide the imperfections, and everyone was like, "No,
How dare you?
Yeah,
you're so against Snyder."
You're calling him a liar.
We all got that. I remember. I think it was when he posted the Uxas image, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, the reason why it's like that, guys, is because it's not finished."
No, you remember the one where he's like
he's
swinging down?
Yeah.
The image. Uxas wasn't even in that image. That was like a concept art or something that he manufactured.
Not that one. I know which one you're thinking about. No, it was. What was that? Are you talking about the one where he's about to like swing forward?
He's about to swing. Oh no, where he's about to swing and hack a couple people. Like where he's just.
Or no, he's about to hit the ground. Right.
I was talking about the one where the long shot where it's coming across the ground, like level to him.
Oh yeah,
it's like the one where he said, the one that he posted. I think it was the first one he posted, where he was like the King Daddy.
I was talking about the one that's up close, where he's about to just like slam his.
The one was like.
No, but that was black and white, but that was also post viz. I mean, that was clear. Wait, people. Hold on.
Yeah. Well,
wait, people thought that one was done.
I got the most crap from that one.
But
people thought the Steppenwolf getting stabbed with a light in the background. I don't know if you realize.
You mean the green screen where the boom tube was supposed to be?
The green screen and a halo light where the boom tube.
They said that was complete.
I saw that one.
That's quick. You're talking about a day of work. Oh, man.
The number of times I saw someone suggest that, I think the word people would use is plonk. They'd say like, "Oh no, you can just swap out, just like plonk in the dark side CGI model in place of the Steppenwolf in the history lesson." And it's like, well, this is not a video game mod. Like this is not.
It's not even that. When you think about it, like, and no bullshit. Like I'm not boasting about myself, even though I am. But when it comes to so much shit that I got and we all got, but mainly me, because I was the most. I mean, I heard the shit I got, and then I just I kept going at it. You know what I mean? Like others, they heard it and they were like, fuck, I'm not gonna respond. No, I fucking responded. So
well, that's the reason why you got the most hate, because you responded.
Exactly. Hey, and guess what? Who the fuck was the most right? I was the fucking one that was most right. Because guess what? That's all anybody ever thought about, right? They weren't saying, "Hey, Scott, how come you didn't say anything about Green Lantern?" Oh, because Scott was like, "I don't know. Like, maybe it is, maybe it's not." He never took a definitive stance, right? Hey, Steven, what about 40 million? What about all that? Steven was like, whatever. I'll fight that someday. Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. Like, I'll talk about it. I'll mention it, but.
Well, I'll talk about it, but anything like that, if
it was stupid, right? Because it couldn't be proved. It wouldn't matter.
Anything that's like, trust me, bro. If that's like, because ultimately that's what it all comes down to. Like, we can give evidence, but until someone says this is how much we're spending on it, then there's nothing definitive. And so I'm kind of the mind, or I was of the mind of, okay, well, I'll get it out there what my stance is, and then I don't need to argue it because it'll prove itself when it proves itself.
And
well, right, and then you have,
and I'm a news and commentary show.
I know. Well, I know that, but
doesn't really work in my format. Sorry,
but what I mean though is like
and now we get to Scott talks shit about people online. News section of the DC Movies podcast.
When it comes to all that stuff, I mean, it's mainly I think Garz is like the big voice out there. I'll be like the second, and then then it kind of just
Well, because I would have people that was like, hey, it still has post-viz and pre-viz in the fucking cut. Like it's temp music, and they were like, no, it's not. He said he was done. He literally finished it. He said it in March, SnyderCon.
Because
and
I
was like lying.
Yeah, and I was like, I'm not saying he's lying. I'm just saying that he's a smart guy, but it's not done. Like I know it's not done, and guess what? Deb comes out and says, no, there was a lot of fucking. There was a lot.
No, see, there's a lot of confusion there because. You got to understand, man. That was the 214 cut.
Exactly. That's my point. That wasn't even this fucking 4 hours.
I thought that it was a foregone. Like I thought that everyone knew this. Finally, I was making a joke there because it got to the point where I thought that like we could just openly be like, "Oh yeah, so we were right that whole time." And I brought it up on Twitter, and people were like, "Oh no, you're talking about Zack Snyder's Justice League, not the 214 cut was done. The 70 million was to turn." I'm like, "Oh my gosh,
wow."
I don't know how much more you need this to be like slammed up into your head, but like you're wrong. I don't.
Well,
it's not a big deal. But
Steven, what? So I want to bring in somebody who probably was all up your ass about it. Being finished. He's probably one of those guys. I mean, come on, Mr. Andrew Dice. I mean, was he always giving you shit? I mean,
it wasn't up anybody's ass.
I don't even know. I didn't even know Dice. I didn't know Dice in 2019. Okay,
I feel like 90% of like what Dice did, or like really anyone that I talked to at Screen Rant about it was just kind of like, okay, Steven.
Yeah, they're like,
I appreciate you letting me know.
Yeah. Well, no. I'll say this note. Like they. Well, go on, Dice. Sorry.
Well, no. When you're like, you're waiting to catch a subway or something, and some guy comes up and he's like, "Hey man, you know what the deal is? You know what the deal is? The Snyder cut." And you're like, "Well, no, go ahead." That is how I felt with Steven. That was probably about 2.5 years of my life.
That is a horrible analogy. I would have been like, "Get the fuck away from me, dude! I don't want no drugs, you crackhead. Get the fuck."
Like, no, but sometimes it'd be like, "Damn, really?" Like,
right.
I haven't heard anybody talking about that. Where did you hear that?
Well, and I'll say this, the sweetest moment, and I like no bullshit. Like I was just like, oh my God, that's validation, right? Because I had known that Green Lantern wasn't going to show up, right? We knew Ryan Reynolds wasn't going to show up.
Yeah.
But yet I had nothing. I literally had no kind of like, here's my proof, right? Like no fucking screenshots, no nothing. I literally just had my tweets and everything that I've said. And I was like, well, I know that he wasn't going to be in it, but that's cool.
Yeah.
And so for the fact that Zach would come out and actually fucking say,
did we actually think that was going to happen?
No, I never thought, like, because I always thought it would be like hitting, like, no, it didn't happen. So why is he going to talk about it, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, no, I fucking.
Well, what was funny about that is Grace said it. You talked to Grace.
Yeah.
And you were like totally on board. And then I went to my person and I said, was this ever on the table? He said yes. So I kind of double confirmed it. So that was like Grace put you on the launching pad. I fucking hit the switch and you were just off the fucking.
You backed it up. I was like, fuck it, I'm gone.
What was always
like,
really
dude, I was gone.
Funny about the whole thing. And like, I don't know. I don't like to be all like, why don't people listen to me? Haven't I proven myself? Because like, whatever, I get it. But,
yeah, I do.
But between like Dave, like I think you would pretty clearly demonstrated. You would say things like, you'd put it out there, and then it would be, sometimes even years later, it would get validated, and so you had a long running track record of like clearly Dave knows what's going on, or like even in the past year, it's been like, oh no, Dave just calls Zach and finds out. So like, who's gonna call bullshit on anything you say?
Yeah, well, except for the Ayer cut coming on Christmas, you dick. Go on.
Oh man, I was hoping
he's not the one. He's not the one.
Yeah, but you jumped on that shit really fast.
All he said was he hinted at a rumor that he had heard, and then you were like, "Dave says it's coming on Christmas."
Yeah, that was you.
That happened all on Dave though.
Jeez.
Hey,
And then
everybody
Ann
thought it
Sarnoff,
was
like
Dave's.
the Grinch that stole Christmas comes in and is like,
I don't know. I heard.
no.
I caught wind of something. I'm like, oh, maybe it's something. So that's why I didn't. But I didn't flat out say it. But I said it.
I mean, but like between the three of us to some extent, I mean, we had like I think a pretty solid track record of like, hey, this is what's going to happen, and then it would happen, and then someone would come out and they'd be like, oh well, I don't know. Garza's got a list of things to say. They'd say Zoic Studios, and we'd say like, no, that's not true, and then everybody's like, how dare you? It's like, what?
Yeah.
All of a sudden, we don't know what we're talking
No.
about.
It's not even that. It's back. That was the whole reason why this shit even started, because we got this fake news that was like, oh yeah, Aircut's getting worked on for 9 months. Guess what? Steppenwolf is actually going to be in the Aircut, and guess why? Because they're taking the budget that they used from Zack Snyder Justice League and putting it in Ayer's cut. That's what they're doing. And I was like, wait, what? I was like, wait, that no, dude, you don't. That's not what you do. Like, you don't do that to this fandom. Like, at least for me, I was just like, no, dude. You know what? The Zoic Studios could potentially be working on the film. I'm not saying no to that, but Ayer cut, no, fuck that, dude. You're lying to people. And so I felt like not necessarily protective of it, because that's not really it. It was just, I was like, no, dude, you don't just get to come in here when everybody's riding high and go, oh, all this fake shit is happening. You know what I mean? Like, and
then get mad at us as if like we don't know what we're talking about. And I'm not even just talking about that one. Like, I know it's people are going to think that we're like picking on one particular place. No, but I mean, this would happen with other places too. I remember Dave said that the Steppenwolf design in Zach's cut, everyone was like, oh, it's going to be this is back in like 2018. Dave was like, oh no, it's the same as the.
Same with us, because I talked to a VFX app.
Exactly.
I was like,
shit for that.
And people got mad. They're like, no, it's Zach wouldn't do that. It's
that was Whedon's.
And my rule of thumb was, if your sentence starts with Zach wouldn't, then you're full of shit.
I don't know what the fuck
because your entire premise is based on your perception on what you think Zach would and wouldn't do. Well, you know what? Zach took dark side out of the history lesson. Zach replaced the Steppenwolf model. Zach cut 2 hours out of the movie to try to appease the studio. Like,
what was sad about that though was like finally when Zach was finally putting back the old Steppenwolf, they're like, see, he was wrong. He has the old OG Steppenwolf. And I'm like, now that he got $70 million.
But Zach ended up putting out a picture that had the new Steppenwolf in it, and you were like, there, see, I told you. And people were like, oh no, we found out, but we just didn't want to let people down. We didn't want to disappoint fans.
Oh my God. That was always the thing. Yeah. Oh man.
Oh wow. So now all of a sudden you're evil for killing people's hopes and dreams, instead whereas like you were wrong for saying it because you were factually wrong. When it turns out you were factually right, now you were wrong because you were killing people's hopes and dreams. Like,
it's fucking stupid. Here's what I want to answer. I want to, because me and Ben, we talked about it. I heard Scott's podcast. I heard y'all. I think I even heard Dave talk about it. I am so, like, to use the word befuddled is beyond me. Like, I cannot.
When I went on Mario's show, the both of us used this. We would finish a sentence and be like, it's just.
Yeah, it's so like, dude, I can't. And it's, as somebody that's in sales, right? I cannot imagine like fucking up a sale so badly, like in anything, in any kind of shape or form. Like, I've never, ever in my life, I don't even know what to say.
Well,
because you had
everybody knows
Zack
we're talking about the Ann Sarnoff.
Well, I was going to go there. Yeah.
Okay.
Before Zack Snyder's Justice League comes out, Hamada and an exec come out and say, "Oh, it's a cul-de-sac." Not Hamada, but an exec, right? Whatever. They say it's a cul-de-sac, right? Okay. Like, all right, fine. You're actively telling people that you're not going to continue something that hasn't come out yet. Okay, cool. Even though it's the hottest item. All right, good. And then you have the hottest item come out, debut, and literally the Monday after, rather than display the numbers, rather than give everybody what the viewership was, you bring out an article that says, yeah, no, we like the multiverse. We're all about the multiverse. In fact, we love having all these creators, except that one. We just don't want that multiverse around. Well,
and we want multi-tiered family content. Yeah, like James Gunn's Suicide Squad and Matt Reeves' The Batman.
So you should accept those, just not that one. And here's the thing: is that we have other projects that are getting excited. So I'm glad that you guys like that product and it's the most, recognized. But hey, you know what? Hey, look, Ayer cut. No, we're not going to release it. Dude, there was no reason that you needed to answer that, Scott.
Well,
right?
Garza, no, because the point was
not only that you don't need to answer it, but it wasn't even it wasn't an interview. It's not like that someone casually asked that.
Oh yeah, I know.
Our marketing interview. It was like she said, "Ask me about Ayer cut." I want to tell them I'm not going to do it.
Oh no, Scott said it. It was a press release. That's what it was.
It was a series of
you guys explained it very well, Scott. What are you guys saying on Squadcast?
Well, the point what I was making was look at those answers. One, look at the questions. They were all pre-written to solicit drafted responses. There was nothing spontaneous or off the cuff about these responses. Read it. It's very clear. Look at the questions. They were leading questions that, it was like how do you react to, the toxic fandom? What is she going to say? Oh, I think it's fine. No, like that question is written
not even that
response. But also look at the fact that and this is the point that Tim and I hit really hard on 301 because we haven't done an emergency podcast in years, and it was like, no, we're gonna clear the plate. We're gonna talk.
The last one was the Superman, right? That he was leaving.
The Cavill thing, the Cavill negotiations, So the biggest thing is look at at no point in her answers does she acknowledge the numbers and or the response that the movie received. So it was so crystal clear to me in my speculation that beforehand, these were the answers they were going to give no matter what happened. What happened, though, was it was so overwhelmingly well received, and it became the cultural bandwagon for the weekend, and it kind of into this week too, that when you give those prepackaged answers, I mean, I think everyone and their cousin used the word, Garza, you said it was befuddling, but if you think about it, what was the one word we all used across the board? Tone deaf. Well, it's tone deaf because they hadn't heard it yet. And this was already the response. They were ready to go. So when you pull the trigger on this on a Monday, supposedly the interview being given on a Sunday.
Right.
But the problem is when you put it out on Monday after the weekend it had, the 4 days it had, you're sitting there going, I feel like
it doesn't make sense.
We need to drop from "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou," where he's going, and when John Turturro's going, this don't make no sense.
Yeah, no, it doesn't, because you look at it and you go, all right, well, let's just assume that these executives, right, that they're in it literally for money. That is all. They're not fans of the shit, right? They're not fans. Let's just put it that way. It's clear. They're not fans. Okay, they're not thinking with their fandom mind, right? They're thinking with their wallets.
Money.
So
and they should arguably they shouldn't be, right?
Well, I get. Well, no,
it's not their job.
They are in a business.
They are
literally in profit for business. They're not in a non-profit. I'm sorry, they're in a profit for business. So when you think about this, if you were to tell me that this person is all about the multiverse except for one side, it makes no sense, right? But then you go, all right, well, we're going to go ahead and literally shun out the people that are calling for this, which in 2016, guess what? There was very few people calling out for BVS, right? We weren't all doing what we're doing right now. And I'm going to point out to Steven, and I'm going to give him credit. Sorry. But when it comes to this time, in this point in time, guess what? Restore the Snyderverse literally trended over 1.5 million tweets in a day that had no kind of, hey, this is what time we're going to do it. These are the time frames. These are the zones. You should do this and post this, do a video.
No,
it was literally restore. And guess what? It was from so many fucking verifieds. And guess how they were found? Because Steven figured out a way to figure it out. And guess what? We as a community literally 10x that shit. And it got out. So all these people were calling for Restore the Snyderverse, to where if Release the Snyder Cut was 1 million and it made them go, hey, Zach, we got to do this. I mean, dude, that story's already out there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
that only made like 150K or something like that. What was Release the Snyder?
No. That was close to 1 million. That was 1 million.
It was 770K.
Okay.
Oh, was it?
Almost,
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, it was close to 800.
Yeah, but then you got to realize too is guess who pushed that? Zack Snyder went on Twitter.
Yeah,
Put,
this
yeah.
one had
Ben
no.
got on.
Well, I think
all-
the biggest thing when we say like they didn't read the room is that the reaction to the Snyder Cut wasn't just like, oh yeah, that's a better version of the movie, but the number of people who I've seen and interacted with personally also, like who are outside of the film Twitter sphere, who don't just say like that's a better version of the movie, but they say this is what should have been released in 2017. This has me more excited, not just for what Snyder could do next. This has me excited for the idea of live action DC movies, period. The brand, the DC live action movie brand was impacted by the Snyder Cut more positively than any other DC movie that since like Wonder Woman, I think probably is the last time people were like, oh, hey, if they did it like this, it would be good. That was the last time people said that DC, that they're excited about what DC is doing in the big screen. I mean, Joker, people liked it. That was very different. And it was established as a one-off. Birds of Prey was like popular, but also really controversial. This is the first time that anyone has had that kind of a reaction to it. And so to get these people that are hopping on the train and saying, wow, I see what Snyder was doing. Wow, I want to see what Snyder could do next. Or I'm so excited for what they're going to do with this universe. For her to come out on the Monday after when she should be announcing the numbers and highlighting how well it did, and instead says, no, we're not doing any more of this, is so befuddling. It's
organized.
I don't
it was
know.
Very organized.
The only like taking my fan hat off, forget that I like this, forget that I want more of this. Purely like, what is your intention behind this is the question, right? So from like a PR perspective, from a marketing perspective, you start with, okay, what do you want the message to be? And so whether or not it's effective or not is whether or not it communicated the message. And the only thing that I can think that maybe they intended to communicate with this was, we don't want Snyder fans money anymore, which arguably they could say, like, Snyder fans are a monkey on our back. We can't move this universe forward until they divorce themselves and decide they're not going to get what they want. And so they could have said, look, it's a vocal minority. We're done with it. We're going to tell them to screw off. If that was their goal, I mean, it didn't work, but that it's the closest thing I can imagine to that, to being an intent, unless whoever is running the PR, whoever proposed this and workshopped the questions and answers, is just entirely incompetent and should be fired for even thinking this was a good idea.
Well, think about
once again, it's not a fanboy perspective. That is just a straight, you are a company trying to present yourself to your customers. Stupid.
Right. But like what Gar said, if you think about sales, it would be like when I used to work at a bookstore, it would be like a customer saying, I want this book.
Yeah.
Now, of course, my job.
But have you checked this other book out? Because I don't know if you want to read that. The artist, I'm not a fan of. I don't really like the fan of that book that you're buying.
And when the job of yours should be, here's the book you want. By the way, if you like this, hey, have you? It's the hand sell. It's the here's the thing you asked for. Here's the additional thing I'm going to put on top to actually make us more money. Well, I'm giving you the thing that you asked for, but I'm saying if you like this, here's something else. Like that's what the multiverse should be presenting is, yes, I like this arc, but I like that Matt Reeves Batman over there. I want some of that too. I want some of that too. Okay,
well, no, I was
also
ask
from a sales perspective, and another one that Garza will appreciate, but like anyone who's read like basic principles of sales, they literally use the phrase, some fans may be disappointed, but you need to be patient. Like you never say, if someone's going to be disappointed and like you're trying to sell them something, don't say you'll be disappointed. Say, the things that you want are going to come down the, like you always phrase everything in a positive. You never phrase anything in a negative. Unless you're saying, I don't think the products that we're That's the only time as a salesperson I've ever told someone they're going to be disappointed is if I literally don't want their money and I'm telling them.
As a product, what does the Snyder Cut really represents to them? Because one of the things
that's what I was going to bring up.
One of the things that you got to think about is like, what is it that they're building to that this movie or this universe represents on what they try to build? Is it a roadblock? Does it hinders what they're trying to achieve? And maybe that's why they're creating this concerted effort, because it's a unison. They're working at unison. First it was a Hamada, and then his boss came out and say all this shit, And then then HBO Max, who was supposed to be detached from everything else, didn't put out the numbers, didn't give any information about the gray edition and all this stuff that's going on around. That is sort of is like everybody is working on unison to bury this thing. Like we want to make our money back. We invested this much on this thing, so it can be a measure of success within the investment that we made, but not to continue it. That's what it feels to me. Because when you put a product out, even if it's outdated, you're gonna say, "Hey, we have this. It's outdated, but wait a couple of months, and you're not." And like Steven said, you're not gonna regret it buying this thing, because in 2 months for now, I'm gonna give you something that's gonna enhance this experience. And this is not what we're getting. We're getting, hey, be patient. Might not like it, but be patient. Like, what the fuck does that mean?
I'm gonna say what I think, and I want Dice to answer because I really want to hear his opinion. But I do want to say that I'm gonna plug myself, so just get ready. But so I wrote an article today on Real Anarchy.
The PG-13 show. Sorry.
Yeah, right. And so my whole point was kind of explaining this, right? And one of the thoughts. So you remember when Zach, basically brought out the tweets and was like, if this is a vocal minority, if this is a small people, then how come your people can't do this type of publicity, right? So it's the same thing, only this time it's going, okay, well, why are you guys scared of what Zach is doing? Because at the end of the day, if you cannot compete with what Zach has done, as far as a Green Lantern, as far as Batman, as far as Superman, if you cannot compete with him, isn't that the fucking reason why you hired the guy in the first place? Because nobody could do the shit that he's doing. You get what I mean? Like, it's that double-edged sword. It's that catch-22 where you're going, if you're so blatantly against, like, keep in mind, the Snyder Cut was compromised. How fucking crazy is it, right? Like, the Snyder Cut got compromised.
This is the version of the movie he shot behind their backs.
Exactly. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like, he didn't,
which was already
Zack Snyder made this movie in a cave.
Yes. And so guys, I'm curious because, the whole point is that if you're gonna hire an auteur director and you're trying to separate from him, it's almost like you're going, well, we can't win, so the only thing we could do is cheat to stop you from making it seem like you know how to do things versus us. But I'm like, the whole point is that nobody can make films like him. That's why you got him. You get what I mean?
Yeah, it's and like you're saying, it doesn't make sense from a business standpoint. I think the only way this makes sense, to the example you were giving, Scott, if you refuse to sell that book even though people want it, it's because it's personal. It's just, it has to be. The weird thing is now we've got a new situation where we were saying, and I think you guys talked about it last week, how we were once saying, you can't expect people to have two different versions of Batman. They'll be confused. They won't understand it. And now no one would understand it less than Warner Brothers, apparently. Like, the fans are totally ready. They're like, yeah, sure. Yep. Give me more of Ben Affleck. Give me this Pattinson thing. Give me, if you want to do a TV series with whoever, a younger Batman, sure, I'll do that. Middle-aged Batman, great. But I think that also Warner Brothers thinks there is less value to their characters than anyone else, which is
but how single installment. How is it?
Every single installment we have of Henry Cavill's Superman is weakening the Superman brand for what comes next, is how they are going about this. It's like, no, but we can't, if we put out, it's the Spider-Man thing they're probably afraid of, which is weird because Spider-Man keeps getting rebooted and keeps getting better to some people. But they just keep saying we need to stop it, because every movie that is coming out that is Zack Snyder's Wonder Woman or Zack Snyder's Batman or Zack Snyder's Superman is taking us a step down the path towards people getting tired of this, and we need to kill it. We need to reboot Superman so we can retain as much Superman hype or buzz or positivity as we have. That's the only way it makes sense. Otherwise they would, and it made sense at a time a decade ago, when it was, we only have so many Batman chips we can cash in a decade. And that made sense. But now you have, it's the reason. It was Jason Kylar said, at the end of the day, the heart of our business and our biggest job is giving our customers what they want. And that is wow, you are, no reason, no surprise, everybody in Hollywood hates you as a studio, because that is not at all
Because
our job is to tell you what people want, not give it to them. Like, no, we're smarter than them. And then if a movie does bad, it's the person who made its fault. It isn't us for thinking that we knew what it was. It's totally personal, I feel like, at this point, because you would just say, at least say nothing. I think that's what Steven and I were saying. Like, why you get out in front of this?
Why
there literally was no point. You literally, with the David Ayer question, you know what you could have said? You could have been like, you know what? I'm so thankful that David Ayer and his fans are wanting that kind of cut. And right now, as we get ready for the Suicide Squad, which is going to be coming out soon, we are going to be thinking about it. But no question is ever going to be no.
Exactly.
Look how David Ayer responded. David Ayer responded to that because someone on Twitter said something in not exactly the most diplomatic way, and all David Ayer, because I think someone said, "Oh, they wouldn't release the Ayer cut; that would confuse it with the Guns to Suicide Squad." And Ayer quote tweeted the guy and was like, "Well, yeah, that would be horrible
marketing,
horrible brand messaging." And I'm listening here going, "See, Ayer just answered that question."
Yeah,
better than Sarnoff did, because he did it in a way that didn't say no. He just said not yet,
not right now.
And then even like, and Sarnoff could have said something like, "Oh well, we got this Flash movie that's going to be starting production, and that's coming from this world of Zack Snyder. That's Ezra Miller, Andy Muschietti is going to be doing this crazy thing." She could have diverted it to that instead of just squashing
or just held the entire interview until after the Suicide Squad comes out. Instead of coming out on the high of Zack Snyder's Justice League, after Suicide Squad comes out, you come out and you say, "Wow, we're so excited for the Suicide Squad. It did huge numbers. Here's the future of the brand." And then they say, "Well, what about Justice League? People were really excited about that." And they'd say, "Yeah, we're happy that people were excited about that. It wasn't in the cards." And so as a result, we're like, it's not like there's no momentum on that because of the fact that it was a one-off. But we entertain ideas from all creatives. But this is the plan that we have been developing and are going to continue developing. Anything that develops in that, we'll have to, we have to take it as it comes. And then that's all you say. But you come out on the high of Suicide Squad and say, "Here's the future." It doesn't currently include any Snyder Cut stuff. And it would be wrong to say, "Well, think about it," or anything. You just say it doesn't currently include that, but we're focused on this thing you're excited about right now. As opposed to this, the timing of this one, they say, "Oh, we're so glad you're excited about this. Stop it."
They're underlining that they don't.
Oh, Dick.
Sorry. Literally, the thing that's baffling to me about it also is there is I say tangible, but I don't know what the math is, but there is a dollar amount that Ann Sarnoff owes Jason Kylar because of this. There are people who will their churn went up a measurable amount because of that interview. There is a percentage of customers that will leave because of that interview. There's a percentage of customers who won't sign up because of that interview. The entire purpose of the Snyder Cut is to bring in subscribers to be excited about this kind of content being on the platform. And she said, "Stop subscribing to HBO Max if you want this kind of content. Stop."
Which is.
Like, do you think this information goes out to the public without the knowledge of Jason Kilar?
I mean, I don't.
Yes.
I don't know if this was done.
There's no way. There's no way that he fucking screened it.
Fathom the idea.
No. Yeah, I feel like if he had screened it, I've got to imagine the questions would have been answered differently or come directly from him.
Yeah, there's no way. Not like that.
Right, but this is so counter to like, and this is not me being like, Jason Kylar is going to save the Snyderverse. This is me being like, Jason Kylar wants HBO Max subscriptions. End of story. Right, that's all you need to know. He wants HBO Max subscriptions, and she is encouraging people to not cancel or to not have it if they care about this kind of content. And that's
the fact that we as the fans and even Snyder himself we've had to be the ones beating the drum saying, "Don't cancel your HBO Max subscription." Like, I'm sorry, isn't it the company's job to be selling us on this?
That's what was weird about the Justice League thing.
Say nothing, and then nobody has to say, "Don't cancel it." Like, literally, if they had said nothing, there wouldn't be a fight over, do you need to cancel or not?
That's my point, though, right? Like, I almost feel like maybe Ann Sarnoff, in some miraculous, stupid fucking way, is literally doing this shit on purpose. Like, what if she went, hey, look.
I mean,
I'm gonna
Warner Brothers and
piss
Warner
them off.
Media have like Warner Brothers has been
I know.
undermining.
Well, right.
The Hamada
Listen,
interview did
I
the same
know,
thing.
I know.
Hamada was like, "Oh yeah, no, the HBO Max is for the
know.
spinoffs and the record stuff."
I get that. And guess what? She comes out with this interview and she says she's talking shit, really, is what she's doing. So she's kind of like, let me just see if they're going to tweet it. And it comes out to 1 million fucking tweets. And I feel like, at the end of the day, you don't talk shit about the product you're selling before it comes out. And when it comes out, if it's a fucking hit, a monster hit, everybody is talking about it. You don't sit there and tell those people, no, but we don't, you're not liking the right things. We're telling you what to like. And you're not supposed to like this. And so it's different now because with all the voices, that's the thing.
Well, and the way everything was crafted.
Dice.
I'm going to be quick about this.
That doesn't happen.
Mr. McLennan.
Look over here.
I think the thing that has made it even weirder now is that it is clearly just a blanket rule. Like the people within Warner Brothers have gotten the message, it's not happening, we're not doing it, do not encourage it in any way. So then you end up with these weird cases where it's not a negative, it's just when people say, so 1.5 million tweets, did you see that? Maybe you'll get Ansarnoff saying, yes, I saw that. So are you going to be doing anything? It is wonderful. No. So there's no logic.
Well, but either
there's no weighing.
Even then, though, that's the whole point why they haven't shown the numbers. Guess what? That's the whole point that they're going.
Yeah, we're over a week and we still have not gotten solid numbers.
We're not gonna give you fucking numbers because guess what? We gave you numbers for Wonder Woman. We thought that was huge.
International. But one thing that I mentioned. One thing that I mentioned the Real Emotion podcast was that even they were excited about the numbers from Wonder Woman that weekend, but we don't know what were the churning numbers. Wait 1 second. After 1 month went by, so they could have said, "Listen, we don't want this thing to repeat again, where we got overly excited about these numbers, and then a month later we see this churning rate like 75%, where people just leave the platform." So
but
probably
it's not even that.
But I'm just playing the devil's advocate. I'm not saying that's what happened, but
I know.
But these things can take place behind the scenes. And another thing is that I feel like everybody knows what's going on. But I think Jason Kilar couldn't care shit either way. He's like, I want to see the numbers. I'm going to wait at 30 days. I don't give a fuck what you, Hamada said, or what Arnstein said. If the churning rates are low and everybody say on the platform, after they sign up for this movie, guess what? We're going to continue this universe. Because I don't think he has a dog in this fight. He just cares about fucking money.
Yeah, he's not going to get involved in the politics. And he doesn't care about the Snyderverse other than the fact that it's a product. Yeah. And so if he gets involved, it's going to be when churn goes through the roof or when the Snyder Cut is the biggest hit ever, and he says, "Awesome, hey Walter, what are we going to do to capitalize this?" And he says, "Well, we've got this Trench spinoff from Aquaman that we've been thinking about doing, Blue Beetle." And he's going to say, "Okay, but what are we going to do? Is there a Nightmare series or a Leto Joker, or what are we doing?"
No, we're not doing that. We literally just got Pierce Brosnan.
And that is the point at which Kylar says, all right, you're not doing your job is to say, this is good, do more. That's it.
But
literally your job.
But here's the thing though, that I can't, that maybe it's weird to me. Like, okay, well, if you're going to have this product come out and do what it's doing, right? You cannot now, because you for lack of a better word, you prematurely fucking jacked it off and you went, hey, Wonder Woman was so gangbusters that guess what? We're gonna greenlight a sequel. That even the director and the actor aren't gonna boast about. We're gonna announce it. There's a sequel because everybody watched this film. So from that point on, that was the benchmark, right? I mean, and no disrespect to all the little things. I loved the film. That film didn't get a sequel. Not that it needed it, but I'm just saying, like, the numbers weren't so tremendous. They were like, oh my goodness, everybody watched this. No, Tom and Jerry. The only reason why it got buzz is because it released the Snyder Cut, right? And then all of a sudden, you have the Snyder Cut get released, and guess what? Nothing. And I do mean literally, there was not a fucking peep of, well, this is what it did this weekend. It's literally, it's because you can't say it. You can't say that it did this number because guess what? Any number you bring out better than Wonder Woman.
Yeah, and that number about HBO Max and like I think of what Samba TV or whatever the heck what is this? Yeah.
That was just on smart TVs.
Yeah. But that was just on smart TVs, and then not to mention we and I keep on saying this is the fact that Wonder Woman 84 was released on HBO Max here in the United States. Yeah. All around the world, it was all out in theaters, and it did not do well at the box office. Considering, it did, whatever, not that great. So, but when we heard about the numbers about, in Brazil, Crave just said that there was the most watched they've ever had.
Game of Thrones.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Yeah. Well, and also, Dave, to your point, also remember Wonder Woman 1984 came out during a holiday.
Yeah.
Like everyone thought, like. When I'm looking at Snyder Cut, maybe you're on spring break, maybe you're not, maybe you're still at work, and then so many of those reportings talked about the 19th, the 20th, and 21st. And I'm like, what about the Thursday what about the 18th, the day it actually released?
Well,
go and look at the numbers, and there's so many things that if you actually break down the statistics and you look at what they're reporting, where the information comes from, what dates what are they measuring, there's just a whole lot that makes you go, huh? Like, why report it that way?
Yeah,
and that's the thing with statistics. It all matters. What do you count? What do you discount? And how do you report it? Because that's why it's lies, damn lies, and statistics. Because you can make the numbers say whatever it is you want them to say based on how you measure them. What are your factors and what are your conditions and all that stuff.
And that's what I was bitching about when way back when they first announced the theatrical streaming deal with HBO Max was get ready for a bunch of people who don't know what online metrics are reporting online metrics as if we know what is. We always use these, and they're trying to fit that into these box office paradigms. So like you have the whatever the one that measured smart TVs, and then the big thing with that was that people found out like, oh, they only measure whether or not someone watched the first 5 minutes. Well, how do you know? It's like, what are you comparing this to? You don't have 100 years of prior, like, do you measure? Oh,
it's in 2 million households. Is that good?
Yeah, exactly. Or you have like, oh, so Endgame broke the box office record, but how many times did people blink during it? Or did they look away from the screen? Did they take a bathroom break?
Took a piss.
How many times did they watch it on Disney Plus? Did they rewatch it because of it? Like, dude, what are you talking about?
There's a number.
Yeah, but we don't have. So, but we do know, like, for example, Crave has been around since 2014, and Game of Thrones was on Crave, and this beat Game of Thrones. And Game of Thrones is like what HBO Max is looking for. How do we replicate that? It's like, oh, conveniently, statistically speaking, we now know what does better than Game of Thrones.
But not even that. It's like, well, okay, I watched it. I keep watching on HBO or on my Xbox. Does that count? What? That's not a smart TV. It's an Xbox.
Yeah,
so
I'm watching it on my Chromecast. It's probably not counting either.
And also with stuff like that, you have demographics, like the type of people that buy smart TV. Like a lot of more like consumer, like hardcore consumers or people who are building home theaters and stuff, they don't do smart TVs because they want to get something like they know that, I want my Apple TV or I want my whatever I can swap in because it's going to be higher quality. I don't need to worry about outdated software.
Well, anytime someone says it's opt-in, I'm like, oh, okay, I've never opted into a single thing in my entire life.
Exactly. The people that do are like your grandma who's like just clicks yes on everything to get through the menu.
They're taking my data, of course.
Yes.
Of course they can.
So, and that's not to say that like I'm not saying this like, oh well, we can't trust that but it's just that because the big thing with that also is people started saying like, oh, only a third of the people watched it all the way through. Well, that's terrible compared to what? You have no idea what the completion rate is on literally anything because you never.
It's a 4-hour movie.
Not only that, but it's the fact that literally that was just smart TVs, and it was almost enough with Wonder Woman that got released here on HBO Max. It's like, oh, okay. So you mean if you calculated all the people that were watching it, everybody worldwide?
What do you think about this? And possibly like, hey, well, let's wait until Godzilla.
Oh, I do. I think so.
Yeah.
No. I was about to say that I truly think that they're going to come out and say. And I, again, this is no bullshit. I'm not trying to put it out there, but you remember when I said it would leak? I was right about that.
Oh, the whole movie showed up on YouTube.
Yeah.
Godzilla leaked too.
Yeah. No. But this is what I'm saying. They're going to come out because it's Warner Brothers. They're going to come out and say that that Godzilla had a bigger subscriber count and more views in the first, the full thing through. compared to the Zack Snyder Justice League.
Yo, if that happens,
You're gonna,
then
no. It's not going to happen. But I'm saying that's what they're going to say. They're going to use a metric like the smart TV, quote unquote. But they're going to be like, oh yeah, Chromecasters watched Godzilla vs Kong, but they're not going to say the Chromecaster. They're just going to say
the app.
It got watched. Yeah,
that's the other thing though, is that the analytics that we're talking about is from a company who has their software on smart TVs, who is gathering it independently. HBO Max knows who is watching it and how much they are watching it, and they are not releasing that info. And so all the data we're going to get a bunch of different things. We're going to get device and software providers who can measure, because people are using their software or hardware to watch it, and they're going to say this is what percentage of our customers watch it. Well, okay, well there's no context for that. How big of a puzzle piece is that? How does it compare to the other puzzle pieces? What's the historical data? There's no parity, because we don't know how it compares to, what's their demographic. Their demographic, the type of people that buy smart TVs are entirely different than the people who are streaming it on their Apple TV, or
watching on their iPad, on the iOS app, or on their MacBook, like using the iOS app versus the Android app versus the Xbox or PlayStation apps.
So, exactly. So what's is the completion rate 1/3 on all devices, or is it just on the smart TVs? And we have no way of knowing. And then is that 5% of the total people that watched it, or is it 50% of the total people that watched it? And how does that compare to 5 years ago?
Yeah.
The only people who have the data that matters are the people who won't release it. And so you're going to get, here's people that watched it on our device or service. Here's how many people engaged with it on social media. Here's we called people on the landline and we asked them, did you watch it?
We went back to the Nielsen listing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No,
I mean, the fact that we're
yes, I
talking about
watched it.
opening weekend numbers is like, in a streaming service, that is literally the least important number.
Exactly. Well, that's the other thing, is that you've got this had very little marketing pushed from WB. I mean, obviously it got a pretty good strong trailer push. But like WB didn't push it. Also, there's no goodwill going into it from the last movie, because of how polarizing BVS was. But also, it's a alternate cut. I hate that term, but I mean that's how people see it. It's perceived as an alternate cut of a movie that people didn't like and didn't see. And compared to like Wonder Woman 1984, is like people were going into that with the hype of the last Wonder Woman movie. And it got the full marketing push from WB and all of that. And this is a 4-hour movie, right? There's so many factors. And then the if you've been paying attention to social media, the growing number of people, it's becoming a social, it's the Snyder Cut challenge. As people are like, whoa, it's the thing is to watch this now. And can you sit through it all the way? And everyone feels compelled to tweet that they saw it. And everyone is expected to have an opinion on how good.
Brad Paisley, man.
You captured the zeitgeist with this movie, and therefore the legs on this, I bet weekend 2 is bigger than weekend 1.
Well, and also, and that kind of goes back to, because Dave, I was watching your video, and then that goes into the question of, I'm sorry, I'm laying in bed, like almost ready to like go to sleep for the night.
Slower.
And then stop it, Dice. and then I see the tweet from Grace about Justice is Gray is coming out at 3 a.m. in the morning, and I'm like, what?
Yep.
I mean, like, I'm sitting here going, what? And of course, what do I do?
Are we believing this? And I'm like, hold on.
I did. I mean, I DM'd people. I was just like,
I started going, oh my God. And then I reached out to, of course. And then when I got the confirmation, I was like, and I even asked, why no push? Yes. And all I got was think about it.
And then that's also kind of weird, because when you're thinking about releasing the Justice's Gray edition, what a customer or what a business person wants to make money would be thinking about is you let the movie play out, breathe a little bit. Then when you need to make sure that the churn stays low, boom, drop the Justice's Gray.
It was like a week later to the fucking.
You drop the numbers. And you say, "Oh, hey, we are really happy with how much you people guys are liking this, because this is how many people are watching it. Here's a little bit of something extra." And like you goose those numbers again. Do
you guys find it weird that I thought supposedly we were supposed to get the that added little dialogue from Joker?
Yeah.
No, he said that we're not going to. he said in an interview, he said he considered doing that, but then when someone asked him on Vero,
people were saying that.
I thought it was going to be part of the gray edition.
I know that's that. If you watch the actual interview where he said that, what he said was that it was something they considered, but he didn't specify. But the way he said it sounded like they didn't. But then someone asked on Vero specifically, "Is this going to be? Are there going to be any differences?" And he said, "No, it's the same cut. It's just a different color grade." Although that's a lie because the title card says Justice League, Justice Gray Edition.
Yeah.
So there is one difference.
Yeah, but it was
actually this is
a liar.
Steve and I gotta get out of here. Sorry, you have a good one.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, it was odd that we found out that it was going to get released. When did she drop that tweet? It was probably like 4 hours, little over 4 hours before.
Okay, so for me, it was even earlier because for me it dropped.
Yeah, you guys
it dropped it like
Dave, you jumped on our live stream.
Yeah, I was in your chat saying like, hey, guess what?
We didn't even know how to react.
I thought it kind of made sense. I'm like, it's a week later at the same time. It's good. And then I went, wait,
I found it weird.
Wait, maybe this is weird. Let me reach out, and see. And then it's definitely some weird fuckery going on.
Yeah, I found it weird. No promotion, nothing, no tweets, no YouTube.
You didn't even tweet.
And then here's the question I have now moving forward. That's really kind of burning a hole in my britches is. Am I supposed to be watching the color version? Am I supposed to be watching the Justice's Gray version? Am I supposed to be alternating between like in my head? I'm trying to play the game of what does the most, or does anything do any good, or what does the most good at this point? Because I've been focusing a lot on the Justice's Gray edition because it's the hot new thing, thinking that. But then I'm also like, but I also don't want to ignore the regular version, so it's like, I need to hit play on that one. Like I'm trying to beat them at their own game,
and they'll figure it out. But I think the way I see it, if I were, clearly this is not the right way to think about it because they don't do things the way I would. But if I were HBO Max, and I were trying to consider like, what is the value of Zack Snyder to us as a filmmaker? I would say, if I was Jason Kylar, I would say, get me the numbers on the Justice's Gray edition. That's the alternate cut of the alternate cut. It's the black and white 4-hour movie of Zack Snyder's Justice League that we dropped without marketing. The numbers on that are going to tell us how much pull Zack Snyder has. The numbers on the regular one, that's Zack Snyder, but that's also like we marketed that, and also it's the Justice League. So people are going to watch a Batman movie, right? People are going to watch a Wonder Woman.
Or are they going to watch it in black and white?
But what does it take? Who is going to sit and watch an entire 4-hour black and white movie? That tells them that's what Zack Snyder can do for us. Give him whatever we want, and that's what. And just because his name is on it, this is what it will do for us. So, whatever the numbers are for Justice is Gray is going to tell them this is Zack Snyder's power as a filmmaker, commercially. That's what those numbers say.
And it kind of makes you wonder too, because the fact that he didn't tweet it. He only posted on Vero, and then those hashtags that he used, where he said hardcore, he said put it on repeat. What else did he say? Justice is Gray. There was like another hashtag too.
Don't something, right?
Don't delete.
Don't delete.
Don't delete.
Don't delete.
So it's almost. I don't know if this is like the same situation as back in 2019, November 17th. But at the same time, it's kind of weird that it didn't go to Twitter. And then finally, the official Zack Snyder Justice League Twitter account, probably like 2 hours, an hour and a half before it dropped. Hey, guess what, guys? Want to watch it in black and white? Yeah, like your
4K, HDR, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then also the fact, and there was a thought that I had, and I think I lost the thread there for a second. But it was also the fact that I almost thought that like most alternate cuts of a film, it would have been placed in the extras section of the film, but no, it's listed on HBO Max as if it is a completely different. You had to search for it. Like I had to go to Justice League, and then I had to go to the more like it section, and there's Justice is Gray.
And it said new right on it. Had a new
it said new on it. So it's even
every single view on movie that to them says this is somebody who went looking for this because of Zack Snyder.
So that's interesting. That is interesting right there.
Well, and I was going to say, so when it comes to like these numbers and all that. So if you
what numbers, Garza? What numbers?
Well, no. Well, I was going to get to it. So if you get to, well, okay, we reached 1 million tweets or close to 1 million tweets on release of Snyder Cut, and that's the reason why they decided to do this allegedly. So what do you do when there's 1.5 million saying restore the Snyderverse? How do you even get past that? There is no, like, that article came out on Monday.
Yeah.
We got to 1.5 million on a Wednesday. You get what I mean? Like there was no, it wasn't like okay, well, we had a plan. No, it just fucking happened. And so it's like, how does that happen? Or how do you get past it now? Because there's no more kind of like, oh, well, release of Snyder Cut got brought up because it got released or because it got hashtag. Well, yeah, but there's another hashtag that got put out there that's even more than release Snyder Cut. So what does that mean?
Well, and that also demonstrates the fact that the behavior of that particular hashtag, the fact that it did so well, and in the time that it did well, and the fact that it wasn't on the back of Ben Affleck and Gal Gadot tweeting about it. It wasn't this whole like sensation of this conspiracy theory of whether or not this exists or doesn't.
Russian bots.
There's no Zach's not goosing the engagement by releasing a series of brand new looks at the movie, and this is literally just people reacting to what Ann Sarnoff said. And that includes like Brad Paisley and the Ancient Aliens guy.
Yeah,
like
you almost want to believe that she actually had this plan, but we all know that.
I would say it's a brilliant stroke of viral marketing if it weren't for the fact that she put her name on it. But
she should just lean into it. Oh yeah, I had this plan all along. Sorry, guys.
What that trend says is that that Zack Snyder, through pure artistic vision and brute force, caused the entire internet to do a 180 on 4 years of Snyder, or 3 years of Snyder Cut snark.
He is now the most popular celebrity on IMDb.
Yeah, people were so ready with knives to destroy this movie, and we know that, we know what that looks like, and they were so ready for. They knew it was going to be bad, and not only was it not bad, but he delivered something in a way that made people say, "Whoa, hold on." I at one point I searched on Twitter. I searched Snyder Cut. I was wrong in the search box, and just like sorted it, and I mean hundreds of I am so glad I was wrong, or even there was someone that was like, I'm sorry, Zack Snyder, I didn't get it. I get it now. And that's not just like an anecdotal thing. That is a widespread. There was like hundreds of people saying this stuff, and clearly they either didn't pay attention to that or did this interview before that. And if you look at the language she used in the interview, also the stuff she talked about, it felt like they were very much assuming that
nobody was gonna like
the target audience was the people who say like, oh, all
vision.
All DC movies feel like Zack Snyder movies, and it felt like they were trying to dispel the notion that they only cared about doing things the way, like, it's like they were scared that people were going to get the idea that Zack Snyder was the future of DC again, which in a way they did, but not in the way they were afraid they would, but in a way that they always wanted them to, of saying like, whoa, there's hope and optimism and faith and positive. Like I feel good coming out of this movie, and I'm excited, and not just excited about like the movie gave me a good feeling and a feeling of like victory, but also I'm excited to see what happens next with these characters. And then Ann Sarnoff was like, don't worry, it's not all going to be this way. Like, it's not all going to be this grim, dark, singular Zack Snyder vision. And the people are like, but no, we want that now. And like she somehow missed that 48-hour window where that
Joker thing.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I mean, yeah, it's nothing new for like a studio exec to be behind in terms of like what people are talking about and what people want. The thing that just is where my confusion starts and stops completely with this is that it would make sense to act this way if this made people want this and you had a different plan, but they just don't have another plan.
Oh, but they have a plan, Dice. I cannot tell you how many times I saw the word plan, vision, and strategy in that interview.
How dumb does it look 4 years after getting rid of Zack Snyder, who, by the way, had a plan. How bad does it look 4 years after getting rid of Zack Snyder and his plan to then come out and be like, don't worry, we've got a plan. It's coming. Like, whoa, whoa, whoa. If you can't come out and say, here is our plan, be excited about it, don't say a fucking word.
She kept on saying plan. That's why when I did my little parody video, I was like, I kept saying, when I did her voice, I kept saying plan, 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 because there's the only plan you're doing is like, you don't seem like you like money. That's why I have it burning in the background and with your face on the Joker right now. And it's hard enough. I mean, geez. Yeah, I know the plan. Ugh.
But it just doesn't, well, it doesn't make any sense. Like, unless the plan, you don't need a plan. Like that. Well, that's the other thing that is weird, is that nobody is even bringing up the term multiverse among fans. You just give them it. The average person, like, you know, my brother, like, I have friends who are comic book and superhero fans, but if I said multiverse, they would go, oh, so like, what does that mean? And that's like, we're treating it as if, no, okay, we need to explain. And I feel like fans get into that too, where it's like,
well, I mean, Liz Wonder had me on her first YouTube show literally to go, Scott, I need you to explain the multiverse.
Right. So you know how movies come out every year and they're all like different stories, and different characters, but sometimes they're in the same cities. So that's because they're all taking place in a multiverse. Like when you turn on the TV and it's like, why aren't people on Friends talking about the incident that happened in the Avengers? Because they're in a world in the multiverse where that didn't happen.
Mm-hmm. That'd be sweet if they did, though. No, but you know who I wonder, you know, who I'd like to hear about this. I mean, obviously he pushed it a little bit. What does Jim Lee have to say about all this? You know, is he just being told to shut up too? I mean,
don't you get that feeling? Like,
yes.
I just get the
and the way she dropped his name also, she was like, "Oh no, Jim Lee is the man coming up with the plan," and I was like, "Yes, well, he already came up with a plan on the whiteboard in Zach's office."
Who's got the plan here, Ann? You?
But Jim? You get the sense that Jim Lee doesn't have a seat at the table because he's not the movie executive. He's the comic book guy. You're over there.
He sat with Zach. He sat with Chris Terrio and Jeff Johns. Then they made those, those whiteboards, and they drew them all out. He drew, little fucking, because he's awesome and he knows how to draw just something on a whiteboard with a freaking a black marker. And they'd freaking have 12 of these boards. He showed a picture of it. He showed that old, where Zach's studio or where his office was, which was just like a fucking fortress of solitude right there. And just, it was like a museum. That should be displayed in a museum. That whole office right there. And I'm just going, and
so should you. Sorry, I had to.
And I'm just saying, like, what does Jim Lee have to say about it? If he's the guy that's supposed to be going, yes, let's do this. He's the one that said, hey, let's get this multiverse thing going, because I mean, apparently he had a hand in getting Ezra Miller.
Like the multiverse concept was him saying, we could have it all, guys.
Yes.
Let's put him. Remember, he was the one that spearheaded putting Ezra Miller in the Crisis on Infinite Earth. Exactly. So he could be like, look, we'll get Ezra Miller in here. We'll let Zach do his thing. It won't be the main thing. We can do whatever. And they were like, yeah, sure. Okay, that's fine. And then like they found out that it turned out like people were excited about the Snyder cut, and they're like, well, no, we can't do that idea anymore.
Yeah, but do you think, okay, Steven, do you think like this has anything to do with the fact that they signed this like huge deal with Bad Robot? I mean, is there something with that, you think? Like,
I think that the other, I mean, imagine the feeling like there is the perception that your work is going to be compared to Zach's work.
Yes.
Right.
I gotta imagine nobody's excited about that.
Yeah, but again, the insanely overwhelming majority would not even, or just categorically the kind of people that won't do that. Like that's the thing that I feel like that goes to the, we can't have two movies that use Batman, because then the potency of Batman becomes weaker over those years.
I think, remember why we got in this position in the first place. I think this ties into the fact that she called out toxic fans also. The amount of I think there's a lot of gaslighting in that interview, and the way that it was conducted. Toxic fans is one of those things, because anyone who I guess watches the show know how we feel about that. Yes, there's toxic fans. Yes, they're a problem, but fandom is not toxic. People are toxic, and most people that I know that are in the fandom don't like the toxic people. So it is not like a part of the core identity. But the studio presented a plan. They had a plan that they presented to audiences. They say, hey, look, we're going to do the Zack Snyder thing, but we're also going to do some stuff with other people. It's going to lead to Justice League 2 and 3. And or at the time they didn't say 3, but they said we're going to do these movies. And everyone was like, yeah, awesome. And they said, okay, here's Batman v Superman. And audiences were divided, but it made a lot of money, right? But they totally, like, from that moment on, panicked. And you had fans who were like, no, we want more of this. And then they said, nope, we're taking it all away. And those fans were like, but we were excited about that. And then you have the percentage of people of like the influencers or whoever on like film Twitter that they were listening to that were like, oh no, we need to make these people happy. We need to rewrite this movie. We need to bring them out to the set to convince them that it's going to be this different movie. And then when Justice League landed, what did they all say? The people that they remade this movie for said, oh yeah, it's a step in the right direction.
Yeah.
Right? That's the people who said they need to get rid of Zack Snyder, the critics, the I don't know. I hate to go in on like the bloggers because that's such a weird bucket, and Dice and I are a part of
Those
that.
damn bloggers. So wait a minute.
But there are colleagues of
You're
ours.
part of the problem.
Yes, you Dyson. Well,
who pushed it to the point where like Warner Brothers was trying to appease them by making these changes in the first place, and then they tried to cover for Warner Brothers when Justice League was terrible, and they said it's a step in the right direction, or Superman is at least it's not Snyder, and then they carried Warner Brothers water for 3 years, saying it doesn't exist, it's not going to be better, whatever. And now it comes out, and it turns out that they were wrong. They were wrong about the direction the movie should have taken. They were wrong about the fact that an alternate version existed. They were wrong about the fact that an alternate version was going to be better. They were wrong about the fact that remember people said the reason Justice League flopped was because people didn't like Batman v Superman. Okay, yeah. So then how come the Snyder Cut reversed everybody's opinion on that? Shouldn't that be the other way around? Yeah. You have like so how do you have like that narrative just doesn't line up anymore? And then this interview feels like once again it's going back to that same crowd. Like, don't worry, we still got you in mind. It's like, no. At what point do you understand that the people you are catering to are not your customers? They don't care about your product. They aren't passionate about it. They only want you to be a Marvel knockoff. And even when you're a Marvel knockoff, then they go like, "Oh, you're just a Marvel knockoff." Like, stop. Like, do not cater to those people. They don't care about your product. They don't care about your characters. They don't care about your filmmakers. They don't want what you're offering, and you're never going to appease them. You have, meanwhile, an army of people begging you to give them a product, and they will tweet 1.5 million tweets in support of this product. And imagine if you were working with them instead of fighting against them, what kind of hype you could generate for this. I mean, imagine if they came out tomorrow and said, Zack Snyder, Justice League 2, 2022, Justice League 3, 2023, Nightmare spin-off series.
I think we could have talked about this.
Internet will break. They will like Microsoft will be like, we got to turn it off for a few hours, guys, and let everything cool down. It's not
overloaded. No, but
even on that point, like. And Dave, I mean, I was told this was a spoiler stream, so I'll just get into a spoiler here.
No, go for it. Fucking say whatever you want.
It would appear that someone could say, oh, look at this movie. No wonder they changed it. There's nothing in the world that would ever convince Warner Brothers or DC to ever entertain a story where Superman and Lois had children. And then, meanwhile...
Superman Returns?
The Superman on the TV show, that's the entire foundation of it. So okay, it's not that. No. So it wouldn't be that's why they changed it. It's not that it's a dark tone, because Robert Pattinson's Batman looks like way darker than anything in this movie in terms of the actual content. It just, the things that keep being picked away, it's not that, it's not this. It's not a DC thing, because the concerns aren't about being true to the characters or their depictions, because fans and creators and DC and comic figures all like it. So it's not that. It's not a plan, because we're not seeing anything that it would conflict with. So it just comes down to, you have just, I guess, set your heels in the sand and said, the only way this feels good now is if we let this be the end of it and never let anything come from it. And that's okay. But then don't take a bucket of piss and call it Granny's peach tea, because they're not going to drink it. It's going to be, own what you're doing. I mean, the way this comes across, and what everybody here and everyone in the chat probably realizes, is that like there is just kind of an open Cold War going on within Warner Media.
So what you're saying
and then also you get the whole, if I have to hear "Give a Mouse a Cookie" one more time,
yeah.
But okay, explain this to me because you're a business.
This could have all been done.
What if you give me a cookie? I'm going to want more. Let me understand something here. So you're saying that it's wrong that the corporation sold me a product that I spent money on, and I'm telling them
shirts and
I want you to take even more of my money.
Yeah.
Give me more of that that I can give you even more of my money. I'm sorry. How is this a bad thing?
Hey, Scott, we're going to sell you a product in 3 parts. Here's part 1, but you know what? We changed our mind. It's not the version that we sold you on. It's a different version, and it sucks. And forget about 2 and 3. And you say, no, give me the one that I ordered. And then they give it to you like, but you're just going to want the other 2 parts now. And it's like, yes, because that's what you sold me. That's what I paid for.
Oh, and it's what I want to continue. It's what I want to continue to pay for. I'm sorry. And I said I forgot where I said this. I have not bought.
The reason these people are mad in the first place is because you sold them something and then took it away.
Yeah. And then it's like,
I have not
you're
toxic. It's like so much money. I have not purchased so much merchandise.
Yes, you
since
seriously.
Me personally.
Yes.
Since
Scott sends me links to everything, and I'm like, I can't do this anymore, Scott. My wallet is bleeding. My wallet is showing blood. There's blood.
Yeah. And I'm sitting here going, but I guess in my mind, I'm like Steven, like you said, it's like
that's the product.
That I'm literally voting with every dollar I have, saying, I want this. This is going to bring you money because nothing you have done since 2016 has generated this much desire for me to throw my money at you at unreasonable amounts.
Yeah, and like we said about. We want Ben Affleck's Batman. We want more of that, but we also like you said, Dice. But I want this Pattinson thing too. It's like, yeah, when I go to sometimes I want the peanut M&Ms, sometimes I want the peanut butter M&Ms. You know,
and that's Jim Lee, right? I mean, Jim Lee sitting there going, I mean, if this is a good, like my job, I think here is to tell you if something seems like a good idea from the DC perspective, like the brand of the DC Comics universe. So. This, having Ezra Miller in the Crisis, that seems like a really good idea from a DC perspective. So I really think that should happen. I mean, he doesn't dream about being a movie studio executive when he closes his eyes at night, I guess is the real difference.
Yeah. I think when you were talking about that earlier, I feel like what happened is Jim Lee was like, well, look, we can do these at the same time. And if you think people need an explanation, then we'll
get ahead of it. Yeah,
we'll stick Ezra Miller in Crisis and we'll see how people react. And like, well, I don't think people are going to understand if Pattinson is not Batman. And he's like, well, I think it'll be okay. I think the customers will take it. And they're like, okay. And so they put Flash in there and the internet is like, that's so cool. And then he's like, yeah, see, look, they're into it. Like, okay, well, I don't know. And then they're like, well, at Fandom, let's make a big deal out of it. And so they come out and they're like, okay, there's going to be different universes and there's the multiverse and people can, and then the fans are like, yeah, cool. And Jim Lee's like, yeah, see, they're cool with it. And they're like, yeah, but what if people don't get it? It's like, no, because they say like, oh no, the multiverse removes constraints from storytelling and it allows us to tell all these different stories in different universes without worrying about it.
Yeah. And then you're talking about viewers, like you're talking about your audience as if they're morons is what it always comes down to is like, to put out that movie, to look at, it was the first thought I had when I was 20 minutes into the Snyder Cut, and I was watching it thinking, man, why didn't you just release this just to see, like what the response would be? Because there's obviously so much here that people would have to say. All of the reviews would be, okay, we have to talk about this movie.
Give it a couple of weeks, and here's the baffling part: somebody's going to release a 2-hour cut of this movie that is not as good, but they're going to release without reshoots. They're going to release a chopped down 2-hour version that people are going to be like, you know what? It's not the same, but like this would have been pretty fucking good in theaters. Yeah. Like take that Martha scene. Don't reshoot that with the thirsty line. Just cut out the Martian Manhunter part at the end, and it plays the same. It serves the same function. It serves the same purpose. You don't have to worry about the Martian Manhunter.
Don't put carousel music over top of things. Like actually allow them to just breathe. But I mean, that really is the thing: is that whoever it was that made the decision, when the call was made that what people actually want is this Justice League, man, Warner Brothers should be getting out in front of that more than anything to say this movie that we put in front of you is not what we think our audience is deserving of, because the kind of mentality that would be, we think so little of you, we're going to have Superman carrying an apartment building. because you are morons, and this is what you want. You want him smiling, you want silly, you want goofy. That, again, it goes hand in hand with, because these morons won't understand. Well, why don't you just give the fans what they want? Because fans are idiots. They don't know what they want. Like, it's the same studio thinking.
And that's why I'm saying, like, that's why me and Ben talked about it. Like, listen, he got pushback on his own fucking Snyder Cut. Do I want to see him continue this shit? Like, dude, I do not want to see him deal with this as a creator, as a director.
Yeah,
fuck that, dude. Like, dude, I would love to have the second, like, Justice League film, but if it becomes a thing where, okay, cool, well, we're still gonna give you fucking notes, we're still gonna fuck that, dude.
I think that's the good news. The good news, bad news is that's not going to happen. Now, whether that means it's not going to happen because he's going to say, "Fuck you, I'm going to make zombie movies for Netflix," and I'm going to put a bunch of friends in a van and go shoot a movie with no special effects in South America for a week, and it's going to blow everyone's minds. We're either going to get that, or they're going to say something is going to happen where they're going to say, "Here's a check. Let us know when you're done." And that is, the 1.5 million tweets is awesome. The excitement is awesome. The positive reviews are awesome. The merch sales are awesome. I'm hoping, Crave, what happened on Crave, that's all awesome. That's a rough, time to tell the truth. That's a tough bridge to cross. I'm not saying don't be excited for it. Don't hope that it's going to happen. Right. I'm not saying that it's not going to happen. But if they say, all right, Zach, let's try this. Let's do one more movie. Let's wrap your saga up in one more movie, and we'll give you $100 million to do it. And we're going to stick Jeff Johns on a set to keep an eye on you or whatever. He'll say, "No, I'm going to make a zombie movie with Elvis zombies. Have fun."
It would almost need to be the fact that if in the happy-go-lucky dream world, where we could get Justice League 2 and 3, like we could get the actual 5-film arc, not taking Justice League 2 and 3 and condensing them down into Justice League 2. You almost need a Lord of the Rings Back to the Future model where he gets to shoot Justice League 2 and 3 back to back, just to be
I anticipate for budget and scheduling and everything. My assumption is that the only way this happens is if they say, "Here's 2 movies, here's creative control, here's at least $300 million total, and go shoot 2 movies, or 12 episodes, or 2 8-episode series."
Not $1 billion, because I have a friend. I'm not going to say his name.
No, I'm going to be the fucking one to say it because I'm the one that fucking brought it up. Absolutely. Here's the thing: if they're going to do that, back to back, right? Let's just assume that maybe for 9 hours worth of content for one season, that would equal about 500 fucking million. I'm sorry, that's going to be about 500 million. That's just it, okay? For the effects
you save,
we're going to get.
Yeah, but you when you do it in the same production, you save. It's like about half the cost.
I get that.
When you do it at the same time.
Maybe. Okay, that's cool, man. But you also have a second season that's going to be there. Okay, cool. Well, now you're going crazy. Why not just make it $1 million, right? Why not, or $1 billion?
You mean $1 billion?
Yeah. Why not? Because if you're going to do it back to back, you're going to need to spend money. You have these big name actors. I just feel like
now they're big name.
Well, regardless of how much it is, the fact of the matter is that it's going to be a sizable check. I know Kylar said that there might be $1 billion budgets, but he's talking about when there's 600 million subscribers on a platform is the point at which
that's how you get. But I wanted to bring up this. Mike G wanted to just say this to us. He submitted a video.
Davey and the boys, let's restore the fucking Snyderverse, baby!
There it is, Mike G. And then I got somebody that's coming on right now. I think two people might be very familiar with this man, Mr. Rob Keys. What's up,
Hey,
man?
Rob!
Hola. Hey, everybody.
What's going
There you
on? Thank you
Yes,
for
sir.
thank you for watching Zack Snyder's Justice League on Crave. Apparently you guys had a hand in man.
You know what though? At least it was free. For Wonder Woman, they charged like 35 bones up here,
Ooh.
which is like
Ooh.
whatever, 25 US for you guys.
That 35 Canadian. Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's not much for you guys. Monopoly money.
And you got Justice is Great today.
Oh, that's right.
True. Have you guys watched? I haven't watched that version yet. Have you guys seen it?
We were talking about it.
Bit. It's definitely a unique experience to watch a big, huge Justice League, movie in black and white. Something like this scale, and you're watching it in like a very art house indie kind of form. I'm thinking, hey, this is probably Christopher Nolan's like preferred version for sure.
Yeah.
So, cool. But yeah, I totally suggest checking it out. But how are you? How are you, sir?
Good, man. It's been a busy. I mean, you guys all know and have been part of it. It's been a crazy 2 weeks on every front.
Yes.
Every front, which is good for business, not good for sleep and mental health.
My sleep pattern is fucked right now.
Yeah,
I mean, when the whole when it showed up on Wednesday, I'm like, well, all right, I'm just gonna probably just stay up and watch this thing. I didn't think I was going to. I was like, I started drifting, and then all of a sudden I got a second wind, and I stayed up to about 5 o'clock in the morning, and then then I had to wake up, 3 hours later to take a piss test, which is a lot of people already know about that because I got a new job. Thank you. Anyways, and then I came home and then went back to sleep, and my sleep has just been all over the place. So I don't even know, but I just went off on a whole tangent there. Let's get back to what we were talking about.
Okay, Rob, you go.
I caught the tail end of that. You guys talking about like budgets for financing more, like follow-ups?
Yeah.
Yes.
$1 trillion.
Yes.
Yeah, easy.
Yeah.
What's the current feeling of tone of the room of will they, won't they? How much would they spend? That kind of thing.
We think they're going to give Zach $1.5 million to
make a YouTube short.
The next two movies. Yeah.
No. It would only be 500 million for one season of 9 episodes, hour long. That's what I'm thinking. 500 million.
I guess we didn't really do it. Oh, go ahead.
I know. Well, I was just saying if they shot it back to back, that's why you would get the $1 million or the $1 billion budget. That's why. I'm just saying.
That seems a little.
I know excessive. It does. It does sound like it does seem excessive. So does fucking everybody calling out "Restore the Snyderverse" for 1.5 million tweets, dude. That sounds excessive. Without any kind of planning, without anything.
If Brad Paisley wants it.
Yeah.
You got to give Brad Paisley what he wants.
Brad Paisley and Leslie Jones get on a stream together and watch it,
And I don't know. I can't. I'm sure Dice can say his name. The Ancient Aliens guy.
Oh, Giorgio.
Giorgio.
Tsoukalos?
Wow. I feel bad, Steven. My little icon is blocking your face. I love it. I could turn it off if you need to.
And Rob,
branding.
And I'd kind of gotten the ball rolling a little bit in only saying that the best case dream world scenario would be his ability to shoot Justice League 2 and 3 back to back and just be done. Like do one production, 2 movies, and just be done. And just be done with it.
Yeah.
Well, I think the question is getting WB to cross a bridge to give him an offer of any kind is seemingly insurmountable, but we got the Snyder Cut already. And so I think that especially after seeing the mainstream desire to see more of this, I think makes a big difference.
Easier.
But even if they get to the point where they are just crushed under the demand for it and have no choice but to give him an offer, there is just as much likelihood that he'll tell them to piss off unless they are willing to give him what he thinks needs to be done to do it, which is going to be what two 4-hour movies, complete creative control.
Yeah.
And then assuming they come to terms on that, well, then what's Affleck's, even if you can get all of them to say yes, all the actors to say, let's do it. I think like Cavill will, because it looks like that's going to be his best chance. And I'm sure Affleck, he came back for reshoots, but like their schedules are packed.
Oh, I think Gal is going to be the hardest one to like really get on board with this. Cause she, she's pregnant right now. She's got other projects. And then,
Yeah, well, I don't think they'd shoot in the next 9 months, regardless. But
yeah,
still,
true.
I mean,
Still,
yeah.
But even Zach though, he's got a lot of stuff coming up, right?
Yeah,
he's got Horse Latitudes.
Yeah. Well, Horse Latitudes is the one that he's gonna shoot like in a week in the woods with some friends.
right. But the King Arthur thing he's talking about might be a larger scale thing, right? So
yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, exactly. But that's not
that's not official.
Yeah, it's
he doesn't have anything else on his calendar officially yet. After I think we'll probably what's going to happen is Army of the Dead's going to come out, and then whatever his next big thing is going to be announced after that, which very well might be used as a carrot or a stick to say like, hey, if you're not going to give me this, then you're gonna lose the opportunity, Warner Brothers. Like we're not going to get another release the Snyder Cut campaign of 3 years of him teasing out information about this stuff. In my mind, if they don't give him an offer before Army of the Dead comes out, that ship has kind of sailed for Warner Brothers, in my personal opinion. He's not going to come back, and the ability to get the band back together and make this happen in 2 years is going to be exponentially more difficult than it is going to be in the next year.
Yeah.
Well, he said it, right? Like, I can't remember what the interview was, but they said, do you think you'd do Justice League 2? And he was like, honestly, cut through all of the bullshit and just said, if you'd asked me before which was less likely, that they would sign me on to make another Justice League movie, or they would spend, like more than $70 million to finish what I had done on Justice League to release it, I would have said no way in hell that would happen. So now
I mean, can you imagine though if like we did some kind of fan campaign kind of thing, it's like to raise money, and I just kind of wonder, like when we have Brad Paisley, we have Leslie Jones, we have these people, would they actually throw money at the thing, or like just
how
to
bad do they want it? Yeah.
It's
one of those things where it's like they tweet the hashtag, and then all of a sudden the fans are like, "Come on my stream!" Like, whoa, I didn't realize.
But if somehow it could be intertwined with AFSP too, it's like, hey, put a chunk to the movie, put a chunk to AFSP too. I don't know. I don't think that. Who knows?
I am curious, since he joined late, and also he's going to have probably a different perspective than all of us. What Rob's opinion on the Ann Sarnoff interview with Variety was.
Ooh. Yes, I really want Rob to take the floor right now. This is gonna be interesting. I'm gonna drink my beer and just listen to Rob.
I mean, it's funny. This is like so intertwined with what we spoke about last time I was on, right? It's like there's like people on both sides internally, which is such a weird thing. And also, I'll say this in relation to this: like I am the guy who deals in info and data, right? And I have never been so hungry for data as I have been this week. It's like I want to know everything. I want to know subscriber numbers, viewer changes. I want to know licensing stuff, all that kind of stuff. So, Garza, you're talking about big budgets. That all comes into account, right? Obviously, subscribers is the big thing of HBO, but I do think if they're going to invest hundreds of millions, and it's going to be 2-3 years away from any potential release, I think theatrical will be a part of it, obviously, right? And IMAX will be a huge part of that. And so fingers crossed everything kind of gets back to normal when that happens. But but also if it's going to be theatrical, right, it's not going to be like the rated R version, I would assume, right? They're not going to do that. That's an extra layer of risk they don't need. There'll be a harder cut for HBO Max or something afterwards. And because the other part of that too is like there's a massive licensing difference between rated R films and PG-13 films, right? So there are companies that can't deal with that. So I'm sure that's a part of a big budget buy, right? It's a long-term effect. But
well, that's the hilarious part, right? Is like the perfect recipe for this is they make the Justice League movie that is released in theaters, and it is the theatrical length PG-13. The version that my parents are going to go see, because they're retired. And all of Zack Snyder's fans are obviously going to go see, even the fans that wouldn't pay for an HBO Max subscription or sit down for 4 hours. And then however long later, that coming to HBO Max is going to be the extended R-rated version of the movie that's going to serve this audience. And there are all kinds of stuff of like, well, yeah, but theater owners, Warner Brothers is like, them? Forget it. Look at our email inboxes. Nothing but theater owners like shit posting us for the next probably 3 years. But it should be able to be worked out internally at Warner Brothers if they cared about presenting as any kind of unified front. There would be a case of like, well, I'm not going to wait to see it on HBO Max. I'm gonna go see it in theaters.
That's it.
And then instead of, it's the same theory of like, why would you buy a DVD? We got to get special features on there, man. You totally got to buy this for the blooper reel.
Yes, yeah.
That would be fascinating too if you get him on the ground floor of like planning the PG-13 instead of it being like a Zach made an R-rated movie and we made him.
And Justice League is a hard PG-13. You take like 2 of those F-bombs out. Don't take the Batman one out. Leave the fucking Batman one in there. But you take the other 2 F-bombs out.
No, leave the Cyborg one. Take the Batman.
I know. That's the thing. Yeah, I know. I like the first F-bomb. I'm like, yeah, you could easily take that one out. But yeah, I know.
Yeah.
The other 2 hit.
He's literally yelling at kids.
Yeah.
It's like when I heard that, I was like.
And it's ADR basically because it's just the guy go, get the fucking ground.
Yeah, like keep going.
Just leave that one. Oh man,
I wonder if I called someone in and was like, "Hey, I need you to ADR an F-bomb."
Yeah, I know. He literally says, "I said shut your fucking mouth." I was like, Jesus, dude, like kids, man.
Zach did ADR for his own movie.
Yeah.
He's like getting ready for the I need to make this more R-rated.
Yeah.
Take that in.
So maybe if you remove that one, you move a little bit of like the blood spillage or whatever, and it's a hard PG-13.
It is, It's weird. I guess the only factor now is like the internal politics part of it, because like they're going to invest $200 million in some of these huge movies, the Aquaman sequel, whatever. So like, why not throw $200 million to one of these? Just try it. But also, they can't make that decision now probably until they start testing the waters with theaters. Like, what happens when theaters start opening up for real, and we actually get into it late summer season?
It makes it even weirder that they would get out in front of this, not even in front of it, but in the middle of it, at the peak of hype, to say, no, there's going to be no more, no haircut, no,
down.
Like. Yeah, everyone stop being hyped. Stop it.
Yeah.
Stop being excited about this movie. If you want more of this, unsubscribe. Like, okay.
Yeah. It's funny. Some of you guys I forget who it was tweeting that they're probably going to drop a trailer on Friday. And then like, as that tweet went out, was that you, Ben?
Yeah.
On Wednesday, just as he said that, I got an email saying, hey, on Friday, this is happening. I'm like, oh
yeah. You haven't got to that yet. We haven't got to that. Of course, the Suicide Squad trailer came out,
which I fucking loved.
Yeah, we know that. We know that you loved
it. I fucking loved it.
Yeah. Scott, you're a big Suicide Squad. Obviously, you had your podcast was originally called. Yeah.
Yes.
Take a drink.
Yes. Thank you.
Uh-huh. Yeah, but what are your thoughts?
I'm meh on it. I actually watching your reaction video, Dave. I loved watching your face because it was like looking in the mirror.
Nice.
Because the things that excited you also excited me, and the things that I was the same way. So it's one of those that's like I saw the fan, and someone's got some feedback because I'm hearing myself. But like the fandom footage got me excited. This trailer has muted that excitement.
Yes.
And really, it's only because of humor that subjectively does not work for me. And that's the thing with this movie, is that with art being subjective, especially humor being subjective, if you swing for the fences in a certain direction, you're going to hit some people and you're going to miss some others. And for me, the potty juvenile humor missed for me.
Yes, the dick jokes, I liked when Idris Elba said, bag of dicks, but then all of a sudden they
kept going
too much
down on it.
Yeah, and it was like, okay, that was a little too much. And then at the very end, when Harley Quinn goes, it's like angels are spooching on us. And I was like, okay.
Yeah. Thanks, Dave Gunn, for writing that and making Margot Robbie say it.
Now, cool thing, Jim Lee just tweeted out, the doctor who's inserting the bomb is John Ostrander. Yes.
Nice little cameo. Yes, that he's injecting the detonation device.
I mostly like the trailer. I think that the really interesting case that it made, I think that surprise, this is going to come out of my mouth, DC should take their and Warner Brothers should take their lead from Zack Snyder here. And they should just embrace what he did with the Snyder Cut, and this should be James Gunn's Suicide Squad. and then Matt Reeves the Batman. Like if you want to highlight like what Warner Brothers does differently than Marvel, do that for every fucking movie, and then embrace it. You say David Ayer's Suicide Squad, James Gunn's Suicide Squad, Matt Reeves the Batman, James Wan's Aquaman, like, and just put the creators' names on everything.
That's not a bad idea, because look at like comic books, when you have certain illustrators or certain writers, everybody goes, okay, I'm going to get this certain product with that. That's
also think about the level of prestige, and like think about the filmmakers that are going to be like, whoa, I want that. Can I do one of those? And also it gives you the leeway to do more crazy stuff, because you could be like, more willing to take experiments, because it's going to have their name on it, and so the audience is going to know what to expect, but also they're going to know like, oh, this is just a take, because it's literally in the title.
But Steven, people
then I know the director can do their own take on these characters.
That would, in theory, that's awesome, but knowing Warner Brothers and how they handle filmmakers and these budgets, you think Kathy Ann wants her name in front of Birds of Prey after all the stuff she's complaining about, or David Ayer?
Well, no, but the idea is then you let them like.
Well, that's the real topic there. So the real excuse is Warner Brothers them
decides if it stays.
But otherwise, I feel bad for Kathy being like, Kathy, it's Bird of Prey. She's like, no, not really. Or even Patty. Patty's complained about both films now. So,
or it's gonna be oh shoot, what's the name when the director takes the name?
That's what I'm kind of wondering there, Mr. Martinez. Yes. Is there going to be a voice for Star?
I think so too.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry. Go ahead. Whoa.
Steven was saying something. Now he's Googling.
Scott, what's the name of when a director,
Dune, right?
When
David
a director
didn't.
When a director renounces a movie, what name do they put on it? It's Smithy, Alan Smith. Yeah, Alan Smithy's Birds of Prey. Alan Smithy's Suicide Squad. Alan every
the Smithyverse.
The Smithyverse. Because Alan Smithy is when a director's like, nope, I'm not. I don't want my name on that. They put Alan Smithy.
Dice, what did you think of the trailer?
I thought it was Scott. Like I think I mostly agree with you that. I think that Guardians of the Galaxy still represents like a pinnacle that Marvel will be hard to ever replicate.
Yeah.
That movie had like me dying of laughter and then just like openly crying in the final scene in a totally earned way. And it was kind of only like doubled down on what lightning in a bottle that was, that with the second movie, it was, okay, James, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
And I found that movie it didn't resonate with me as much.
Nope.
So that appears to be the case for the way they are talking about his Suicide Squad movie, which in which case this trailer reflects that, I think, pretty clearly. This had more like super, Slither vibes, like of things that he finds funny. And I generally like applaud that. And I think, Scott, you had the same sentiment. Like, if people love that Wicked, like there were some people on Twitter that were like, this is the best trailer I've ever seen. And that's like, I'm very happy for you. I'm hoping that there are like the other parts of it in the movie that just don't maybe play well, as like the teaser, the sizzle reel was like insane action sequences and stuff. And that's the stuff that's like, you need to be in the theater for that. So I'll wait. Speaking broadly, I'm intrigued to see what that movie ends up looking like compared to his other movies.
Yeah.
Recently. And that'll be weird for Guardians 3.
I think that's what's weird about it is that you have two styles of James Gunn. You have the oh wow, this is really out there and like edgy, so we're going to give you $5 million to make it. And then you have the like, oh, this is this really poppy thing that everyone's going to love. We'll give you $200 million to make it, but like no cussing and no like whatever. And then this is where they're like, okay, so do that thing you did with like Super, but here's $200 million to do it. And so like, how does that? It's weird because I'm so encouraged. Like, it shows you my preference for filmmakers. I'm like, let Zack Snyder do whatever he wants, but James Gunn's got to tone it down. But I do think that part of Zack's process is like they spend a lot of time stripping dialogue. Like they have the script and then they just like cut. He cuts a ton of dialogue. He's like, do we need to say that? If we don't say that, can we still? Is it communicated visually? Whereas, and I feel like James Gunn is just like everything in the kitchen sink with the one-liners. and kind of needs to follow a similar process. Like I'm not saying he needs to be edited. I'm saying he needs to self-edit a little bit better.
Well, look at the first Guardians, right? Like,
yes.
we want it to be more James Gunn, and I thought, oh man, and then I left the theater and was like, well, that was great, but that was not at all the James Gunn movie I was expecting. Like, that felt like a Marvel movie, and he came from one side of it to push the needle into quirk, and then with the second one, it was just like, redlining maximum quirk from the first scene.
Yeah,
but my point would be kind of like to your point, Stephen. Though, if this is what Gunn does, if this is Gunn's filmmaking, great, let him do that, and then let the chips fall where they may with how audiences, respond to that. Because if this is the movie James Gunn wants to make, more power to him. Just be prepared for it to be in my strike zone and me going, I'm good, thanks.
Yeah.
I mean, see, since all of you guys want to shit on it. Like, I don't know. I don't get, and this is just me, like, personally, I don't understand why I found the like humor hilarious. Like, dude, that bag of dicks joke was like in my head. I'm going, well, dude, he said literally, like, John Cena's like, if the beach was filled with dicks and somebody told me that I had to do it for liberty, I'd fucking eat all of it. And I'm like,
I thought that
more context.
Funny. I think my concern with it is not so much. I thought most of the jokes in the trailer were funny, but I'm thinking, okay, 2 hours, is that 2 hours of that, or are they just putting it all in the trailer and it's going to be like?
And the way I'm looking at it, I'm thinking that, I'm going, this is what a James Gunn film is. Like, I wasn't shocked by this. You know what I mean? Like, I was like, okay, that's fucking hilarious.
That is my concern, what Steven said, because I like Deadpool, but there's a point where I'm like, okay, shut the fuck up and move on along with the fucking story. Because, you get, totally humor is funny, but it gets to the point where you're like, okay, enough. And that's why I'm afraid.
And eventually
it's like Scott said, the trailer, the stuff that we saw of fandom, like, I was hyped.
Well, I think at Phantom, it was just like, it was mainly action, like,
there's no dialogue in that, or minimal dialogue.
There was really no dialogue. We just saw like a lot of action, and it just made it
not only that, a lot of slow mo, making everything look cooler.
Well, and here's the thing also about when you look at, like, I don't know, to use a tarnished name now, with like that Rick Flag shot of him talking with Idris Elba's character. What's his name? Bloodsport. When Harley, like, that was a funny setup for like we're gonna rescue it. It was a great plan. She's like, oh well, I can go back in.
Yeah, I actually thought that was great. I thought that was funny. I liked it. I even liked it when she was on the rooftop and they were like talking to
the license plates.
And they were like, and then she also, if you have vanity license plates, we're gonna kill you if you cough without covering your mouth.
Yeah.
And then Rick Flag was like, hey, relax. Well, but you shouldn't cough with your mouth.
That's what I was gonna say though, is that it fell into that Joss Whedon territory for me of like, every character is a little bit of James Gunn, and so like you don't have like Rick Flag and Harley Quinn are like kind of making similar, like the tone of their humor is the same.
Yeah.
In the same way, like you watch the Avengers and you're like, oh, Captain America is making Joss Whedon jokes, and Iron Man is making Joss Whedon jokes, and the Hulk is making Joss Whedon jokes. I started to get to that tone from this. I thought they were all funny jokes, but it's like, okay, why is Rick Flag like cracking wise? That wasn't really what sold me on him last time.
Right, but at least that scene feels like a little bit, because the Squadcast guys, we were talking about it, and we felt like that scene at least was kind of a fun callback to the first Suicide Squad movie, where he does have this scene that's like, you annoy or vex me, you die. That is known to be quite vexing.
Yeah,
like,
think about that.
Like
that. Think about that. Yeah.
So it's
really?
like,
that was the first thing I thought.
So it feels like, it always feels like, this is the speech. Like now, and now it's not just Flag giving the speech; it's like the Squad's giving this. It's like, so the thinker is obviously like the new member. So it's like the hazing.
So is King Shark. Yeah,
exactly. So it's like, we're gonna haze you now with the. You do this, you die. Like, because this is the Suicide Squad.
Isn't the thinker like? Are they like protecting him? Is he going to?
I don't know.
It seems like they're protecting him. That's what I got the sense of.
Starro is on his poster, so obviously the Thinker and Starro are connected somehow.
So he's protected. All right. So Ben, overall, what did you think of the trailer? I know you were kind of yeah. Has Zack Snyder spoiled you? That's what it was. Yeah.
That's what I say. It's like like a 5-course meal, and all of a sudden somebody serves you pizza. That's what I feel like.
Fucking hard fact.
Yeah. All right, Mr. Keys. What do you overall thoughts of the trailer?
Yeah, I think it's funny because this whole trailer, it's only like half the squad or one squad of two. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, you guys have a unique knowledge. I mean, of some stuff. You guys kind of
you visited the set, right? Yeah.
Especially that guy.
There visit the set,
but mentioned that. Yeah, you know, he might have visited something.
But we can say they were, they're very guarded on that. Like Starro wasn't really a topic they're trying to talk about there. So it's not as revealing as you think. But I don't have that knowledge on this one. I'm just saying from this trailer, like we didn't see Pete Davidson's Black Guard. Like half the people in Task Force they're not there. So I'm very curious what their personalities and humors would be. And I do think when like John Cena's Peacemaker, in context, when I think about it, I agree with Garza. Like the bag of dicks thing is actually kind of funny because he's the over the top but brutally violent Captain
for
America.
liberty. I would eat every dick on that beach for liberty.
Totally. So I think like when you see that character and you first meet him and how ridiculous he is, that probably plays really well. So,
but then to have the character Ratcatcher going, why would anybody put penises in? And he's like, because the evil. Who knows why Mad? Yeah,
like I said, that whole scene is probably going to play out a lot better than for me within the scene, not just like this clip from the trailer. Yeah.
Well, here I'll put it this way, and
a little bit more. Yeah.
The fact that they even brought that up in a trailer, like for all intents and purposes, I needed to get my daughter's reaction about it. Like I wanted to see what she would think. She knows about things, but she's a teenager. Like I wanted to see what she'd fucking think. She was like, she laughed at it, but she was like, I'm excited to see this film. Like she wasn't sitting there going, oh, that joke made it, that's the reason why I want to watch the film. No, she was just like, it looks crazy. It looks
like the normal way that most people watch this stuff.
Exactly. Yeah.
People that aren't on our panel at midnight on a Friday on the internet talking about comic book movies.
Exactly. Okay. Now, what about King Shark? I mean, is he going to steal the fucking every scene that he's in?
And
the fact that Stallone is voicing it now. We know this now, and we're gonna hear that voice coming out of him. It's gonna be, and then I mean they didn't hold back. I mean, we see him just fully just go nom 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 nom, and then rip somebody in half. And then everybody's just cheering it on. It's like, okay, cool. And then when he's literally just gnawing on like a skull, that's when Starro decides to make his appearance in the trailer. Jesus. And it was kind of going, okay, we already kind of knew that Starro was going to be in this. And then now that we saw it, I mean, what were your guys' thoughts? Where it's like, okay, cool. Like, why not? Suicide Squad taking on them?
You have to match the absurdity of having Sean Gunn's character. What was the actual rat's name?
Weasel.
You have to match the absurdity of that and King Shark. Also on the Stallone thing, I love the fact that Stallone now is part of Gunn's family. He brings to every movie, right? Rooker, Fillion, his brother, now Stallone, and potentially Taika are all part of that little group that goes from movie to movie. But Starro, good for them. They're going for it. Pretty wild.
What I'm curious about is like with Starro, if they're going to be like they're in South America, right? Central America in the movie.
Yeah.
Oh no, they're Alto or Maltese.
Right, but that's a central. It's like a Central American.
But is there going to be a situation where there's like dozens or hundreds of people with like that are taken over by Starro, and they're just like citizens, and they're just going to like get their fucking faces blown off? There's going to be a whole montage of just like innocent civilians being gunned the fuck down by the Suicide Squad, right? Like I'm going to set it to like ballroom dance or ballroom dance, like that.
Going back to what you were saying, Rob, was like when you had the first group, you have this two different groups of the Suicide Squad, and everybody's assuming that the first group is just going to get offed like crazy. Maybe like their mission that they go on, that has Captain Boomerang and everybody else that's within that first group, maybe there's something that happens with Starro, and maybe they don't all die and they're just taken over, and maybe Captain Boomerang is just going to be saved to like the final act. I don't know. I'm kind of wondering. Yeah, I just kind of go. I worry because I want to see more Captain Boomerang. I really
Me too.
His
And
character,
just like
I can see either. I see that going two ways. Either he's killed off like immediately, or he just like somehow like Homer Simpson's his way through the entire movie.
he just back to the bushes,
right? Where it's like, why is he not dead yet? At the end,
Yeah.
he caused they just did a reversal. What he did to Slipknot, someone does to him. He's off in the first
probably.
scene. But there's two ways. I do like the idea of there being two potentially, and I have no idea if anything's true, but in my head, if there's two big teams and that many characters, that is exciting to me. And the idea of them fighting each other is also exciting to me if there ever is a scene like that. But I do hope if there's the next trailer, it's like that team's perspective or something, like a totally different trailer. That would be sweet.
Yeah. So many.
Whoever dies, I just hope Pete Davidson's dive like 5 minutes into the movie.
You're not a fan either?
I feel like Pete Davidson is the new Slipknot, probably.
Could be. All that gear, yeah.
Well, he has like totally different on his like shoe, right?
Well, the fun part is going to be how many different fans, how we get our own little Deadpools for who ain't making it out of this movie.
Yeah.
I think that is the one smart thing he did was giving us such a big roster because, well, Slipknot is hilarious on the first one. The fact that he's the only one that they just like, I mean, Gunn can do that with like 10 people in this one.
That's it.
10 people can be Slipknotted in this movie, and that's hilarious.
That's the point. You keep saying don't get too attached. That's like the marketing slogan. So sure, a lot of them are going to eat it.
Sounds like.
Well, I like the slogan of "They're willing to die for the world" or something like that. Like it's like, geez.
Oh yeah, the tagline on the poster. Yeah. Posters look great. Very Grindhouse.
Yeah.
I think Scott, you said that, and then I said that also. Like very Grindhouse. I would actually, those posters are pretty damn awesome. But I even kind of got, I mean, when I see Idris Elba, I'm like, yeah. I mean, I love that Idris Elba's in there, but I miss Will Smith's Deadshot. At the same time.
Yeah, but dude, hearing that line when he's like, he's like, well, we're all gonna die, and he's like,
Polka Dot Man. Yeah,
he's like,
I hope so.
Fuck. Like
in that voice, yeah, I thought.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I was like, dude, Idris Elba is fucking perfect. Like, dude, that is him. He's just going, what the fuck are we doing? Like, it was perfect, man. Like, I feel like this movie, and even though all of you guys hated the fucking trailer, I loved it. I
also liked it, but
okay, great. No. I just felt like it was so like, dude, we're about to see. Like, I felt like, and I'm probably gonna get shit for this, but whatever. I felt like this is what Aquaman was trying to be, like, with the kind of quips and the humor, but still having like this serious big ass fucking battle that we're about to get. Like imagine that, like this big ass starfish. Like, think about that. Idris Elba's going like, shit. Yeah, like they're leaning into it. Like whenever they saw the fucking, what was it, the Kraken or whatever in Aquaman, they were just like, oh, whatever. Like they weren't even shocked about it. You know what I mean? Like
I want to see more of that guy in the control room. He seems like he's gonna be like the funny guy, away from the team.
And I want to see more about how Viola Davis's Amanda Waller is like.
That's what I was just about to say, Scott. With that guy, it's going to be a lot more comedic and a lot more like eye rolling from her. I think it's not going to be like serious.
Well, that's the stuff that stings me. I want to get a sense of this tone of this movie because, like Steven and I, like when we did our commentary for the Snyder Cut, that movie is not funny. But Barry coming back and Barry saying, "Cross this off the bucket list," when they're digging out Superman's corpse was like the hardest I've laughed in a long time because it was a release valve. And whereas with this, like, it's the same thing. What was the one where she shot everybody? All of the people working for her, and then Will Smith just deadpan was like, "That was gangster," and then walked out of the room. That was great because it's a release valve to the tension of the movie. If there isn't any tension, and maybe that's the best way of putting my stuff with Guardians 2, because it was all just over the top and wild from the start. That I would hope that's just the stuff they're not going to show in the trailer for this because that is just plot.
Well,
stuff.
what I was gonna say was, I'm sure, and this is just he comes from Marvel. They're gonna is that shit even gonna be in the movie? Probably not. So,
I mean, the guy that that's gonna be like operating the computer. I mean, he had the perfect poster. I mean,
I know. I was just like, Rob, thank you so much for bringing this.
Yeah, for that too.
But see, that's the thing. It's like this guy is going to be working with Amanda Waller, and you kind of go, okay, what is that dynamic going to be like? He's going to be obviously when you see him, when he goes, oh my God, we got a kaiju, and he's like yelling that out, and then there,
her look is like yeah, I fucking knew we had something like that. But
exactly. Like she was ahead of the curve, and like, I know you idiot, you fat idiot that's eating pizza and your keyboard is filthy and everything. Yeah, probably.
I mean, you're talking about the woman who looked Bruce Wayne in the face and said, "You really need to stop working nights."
Yeah,
I'm like, oh yeah, and she's also the one who like looked at her entire control room and just popped the cap in all their asses.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about. I mean,
I love it.
I wonder how ruthless she's going to be in this.
Waller. I mean, she's the Wall. I'm like, sure, put some funny guy around her, but she still needs to be the badass mamma jamma that she always is. Because you get Viola Davis playing that role, and it's like, yeah, because she rocked that role.
Yeah.
Even in the version of Suicide Squad that we got in 2016. She still was never a problem with that movie because she nailed it.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting.
Do you think in this one it was weird? In the first movie, I kind of liked the flashback stuff where you got to see. I mean, the Joker storyline aside, I like seeing like
the backstories.
Will Smith's backstory, yeah, and you get the personal moments and the character. This movie has like 2.5, 3 times as many characters. I wonder if they have room for that, or even.
Well, if they
what
they call it the dossier cut. I think for the Air version, because they assembled a dossier out of what was originally just a straight up prologue. So I imagine that the way Gunn would do it, like think about the Guardians scene where they introduced everybody and they did like the lineup on Xandar, and so imagine if Gunn assembled a dossier in the a dossier montage in his script, so they don't have to assemble it in post. They could do some, especially because if they play off the original Suicide Squad at all, which I don't know how much they're going to lean into that or not, but they give like Rick Flag and Amanda Waller giving a rundown of this cast of characters, or maybe they're selecting characters from.
Speaking of Rick Flag, is he wearing a Bugs Bunny shirt?
No, it's something, but it's
no. It's the yellow shirt that actually, if you go back to the original Ostrander run,
I thought I saw rabbit ears. I was like, is he wearing a Bugs Bunny shirt? I don't know.
No, but he is actually, as ridiculous as it looks. It's one of those. If you want to talk about comic accuracy, it's like that's the way Luke McDonnell drew him in the original Ostrander run. Is that basically he wore like khaki in that yellow orange shirt and a shoulder holster, and that's like all Flag had going into these missions. So,
well, I was going to say the fact that they had the same dialogue, that same kind of like, you die, you all that shit was you die. That means that is a continuation of. There shouldn't be this is the first mission we've had, because obviously there is this is the Suicide Squad. You get what I mean? Like there's a history there, and so that's actually something I love, and I think even with Harley, because she was kind of like, even when she gets surprised that you guys are going to save me, it's like, well, I didn't need saving this time, and obviously keep in mind that Joker broke her out of the prison. So what happens in that world? You know what I mean? In that time frame, how does she get back into this?
They also have so many characters. I wonder if they're, and Dice, maybe you can't speak to any of this, but I wonder if there's still room for surprise characters. Like I wonder if not here, this is like the most easiest franchise, because you can just random characters. You can take whatever style you want. You can take the most ridiculous villains and anti-heroes, all that stuff. Yep. But I do kind of want to see Killer Croc and Deadshot come back at some point, if not in a cameo here in 3 or 4 or something.
I can't. Killer Croc seems too perfect to and. What's the especially with Gunn, I ask myself like what the value, like what the comedic value is of killing each person off, and that's kind of why I feel like, it'd be funny to see Boomerang die, seeing Jai Courtney pull off how did he survive that explosion? Just like at time after time. And to me, that's also Killer Croc. There's a shot of the trailer that he's got like a bullet hole in him. I'm like, if Killer Croc is just full of bullet holes at the end of this, but like doesn't even no. Like that is way funnier than, or I shouldn't say that. I'm sure James Gunn could find some hilarious ways to kill Killer Croc. But like what's more funny to me, or the value in that character is in not killing him. Whereas like a lot of these characters, you can come up with like really elaborate kind of deaths that would be more fulfilling.
I'm sorry. There are characters in this movie that to this day, I still don't know who they are. And that's saying a lot. And B, I can pull up the DC Comics Encyclopedia and these characters don't have entries. Like that's how obscure so many of these characters are. If they don't have an entry, your best shot is that they are mentioned in someone else's entry, and you have to use the index to find them.
Well, yeah, like I didn't imagine, right? James Gunn described Daniela Melchior's character as Ratcatcher 2.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So like that is. Yeah, that is.
But
I mean, that's just a hilarious, weird comment.
Not my Ratcatcher 2. My Ratcatcher 2 wears blue coats.
Yeah, how could you?
But to your point, Dice, that's like looking up in the DC Comics Encyclopedia because that's how they would be listed. It's like Flash 1, Flash 2, Flash 3, like that with the little Roman numeral next to them. Like
even that is meta in a way these things don't get with
exactly.
Yeah. Leaves room for backstory where you meet Ratcatcher 1, the parent or whatever. You know what I mean? And this is the descendant.
Hey, there we go.
But speaking of that, Scott, I'm most interested in learning more about Nathan Fillion's character, right? TDK, who we can assume what's going to happen to his limbs. Yeah, but I don't know who that is, though, for reals.
No, for reals, I don't even like.
I don't think anybody really does.
No one really does. And so once again, it's like that's like you said, Rob. That's the value of this franchise is. It's called the Suicide Squad. If you don't kill off a ridiculous amount of the characters, it's almost like you're not, not selling them the product.
This is their chance to redeem the name for sure.
Exactly. And the whole point is supposed to be, I mean, when you have a black ops government squad that exists because the U.S. government said, we don't give a shit about these people because they're supervillains. So we have no moral compunction of sending them to do our dirty work where they're probably all going to die. Mm-hmm. We say, if you survive, we'll take 10 years off your sentence. If you don't survive or if you betray us, cool. We don't have to worry about housing you anymore. I mean, it's an amazing concept that can be played for laughs, can be played for moral questions. Like, that's why it's a very flexible, elastic franchise because it can go in so many different directions with that basic concept of we send you on missions, you're the bad guys, either you die, we kill you, or you miraculously survive and we'll hold the carrot of, we'll let you out of prison.
Yeah,
because you're going to end up back in it because it's the DC universe.
And it's going to be interesting too to see how, because I was always thinking like when the last Suicide Squad came out, I'm like, all right, there's like a big world event. They literally saved the world. Can we have an event where like the world doesn't know that something is happening? And I'm kind of wondering with the whole Starro thing, is it going to be like super contained where? But at the same time, I'm like, it doesn't seem like that because it's like this big, huge starfish. I don't know.
But the point of it being on Corto Maltese would lend it to. You're basically talking about
a city that got evacuated, and all of a sudden, all these bubble wrap soldiers.
Yeah, if you sent Black Ops government teams into Central America, no one would find out about that.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm thinking it's actually going to hopefully be like that, because that's what I didn't like about that part was like, okay, well, where's Superman? Where's Wonder Woman? When you got, this thing shooting.
Superman was dead.
Oh yeah, sorry. That's right.
The world changed.
That's the Vodka. That's the Vodka. Where's Wonder Woman? I know.
Wow.
No, but I know that was bad. But yeah. So I always that was kind of like my complaint about the first one was the fact that it's like this world event's happening, and you're seeing all this. In a control room with all these government officials kind of going like, what the fuck are we going to do? And I just kind of found it like, do we need like these people to take care of this? Can we have like a more contained story that's more covert that nobody's gonna know about? And that's what I'm kind of looking forward with this one is like maybe this big event happens and like you said, it's off on like a whole different land where nobody's gonna really know about this.
Do we think like Chekhov's bag of dicks here? Do you think Peacemaker is going to eat an actual dick?
I mean, I can see that
joke.
I would not be surprised.
That's what the spinoff is about.
You ought to know. You're the one that fucking went there, dude. Like,
yeah, how many dicks you see on set?
Yeah,
exactly.
No,
they just,
you were on that beach.
showed up and they had you like a tray of dicks, right?
Yeah. How many dicks did I see on the press van?
I saw, for real, not to derail this, I saw a dick on a Marvel set, for reals.
Wow.
Was it to do with production or?
It was Marvel's Hellstrom, which they never even let us report on, but it's already canceled. They're trying to push it away. A Hulu production in Vancouver.
And
they had a cadaver, and the prop guy was like, look at this. He opens it up, and it's just huge, very real looking, full body. And then the publicists were like, and he's like, oh yeah, I shouldn't show that. So my headline was going to be, I saw a dick on a Marvel set, but they never let me write it.
So
you heard it here first.
There you go.
It was a real
exclusivo.
I know. I was like,
no. It was a
exclusivo.
It was
it was like a fake cadaver they used. Actually, they when they borrow, because Vancouver, so many productions. It was a body that's been in a bunch of productions. It's been on Supernatural, this and that, one of many. But it's like fully detailed, everything about it. It's the body that.
Swiss Army Man.
Nice. So,
it's like a
but back to the Suicide Squad. My problem with the first one, and I hope they kind of address it here, is like we're talking about like the suicide element, like the characters are going to be put aside or have to get owned in this, or maybe to hide this whole problem, they just blow up the whole island or whatever. But at some point, like we have to recognize that a lot of these characters are like beyond redemption, right?
Yeah.
There has to be some evil to some of these characters. Like if these are actually supervillains, these are people who have done the worst things you can imagine with abilities. So I'd love to see some element of this franchise, maybe not here, but in the future, where someone is going to make them pay the price. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You get 10 years off maybe Peacemaker is going to put some guys down because they don't deserve to get out or something. That's what I want to see.
A funny thing that David Ayer said was someone asked him, I think they were asking about something that El Diablo did, because in his movie El Diablo was kind of sympathetic or whatever, and he said
killed his family.
Yeah, and they were asking like if there was something that happened with El. I think he said that they made him I don't remember what it is, but the point, what he ended up saying was that one of the few fights that he had, I think, was about El Diablo killing his family, and he was like, well, look, these guys are villains, like they're supposed to be, or no, he didn't kill his family, but someone asked him if he did. He's like, but he does other bad things, and he's like, it was always very important to me to show that, like, yes, these people are bad, but that doesn't mean that you can't like feel for them having a family. Like Deadshot is a villain, but like that doesn't mean you shouldn't feel for his connection with his daughter.
Totally,
because that's people in real life. Is that like, and I'm not saying that you have to empathize with people so much as the reality of the situation is that like evil people do love their kids, and like or their kids love them even, and so like that. Not to cast like judgment on them or to say that like redeems them in any way, but that is the reality of the human emotion and what's complicated about it.
The whole thing of like, hey, Hitler had like a puppy dog, and he probably was like nice to it. Like he petted it.
Right. His wife loved him.
Yeah.
And so and not that was what the whole movie needs to be about. But I mean, obviously that's kind of the type of stuff that Warner Brothers at the time was very much like, oh, we don't like this morally ambiguous, challenging stuff.
Very true. All right, let's get to some Patreon questions here. We got William. I'm going to bring his question in right here. It has to do with like some Zack Snyder and Sarnoff stuff. Here we go.
Hey, Vodka Crew, Junkee. Quick question. It's actually a two-part question. Zack Snyder rarely posts things where he wastes a lot of words, and he really doesn't post ill-timed posts. His last post seemed like it was a strategy to get people to watch Justice League Gray and to repeat and to keep going with it. Do you think he's having conversations with people that are beyond Ann Sarnoff and the actual divisions that would actually keep his thing going? Also, why don't we hear from Casey Bloys? We hear from everyone else and everything else about everything else, but we don't hear from the guy who's in charge of a major division inside of Warner Media, and to my knowledge, does not fall under Ann Sarnoff's chain of command. Thanks, guys. Have a great night.
Thoughts?
I think that it probably. I'm going to assume that Zach hasn't talked to anybody about anything yet. I think that like while I am very big on like there's a Cold War and there's politicking going on, I don't think that necessarily means quite like the TV show version of that people think there is, where there's like factions having secret meetings and Zack Snyder going over their head to talk. Like I think Zach is just sitting like. He's done the politics. He's just sitting by waiting for or not even waiting for the phone to ring, but if the phone rings, he'll answer it. But he's not like, pulling strings or talking to people. And then the people on the other side aren't like doing the same. I'm not as familiar with Casey Bloys, but my perception of like the way that people like to learn about like the way like Marvel runs and then be like, well, why doesn't that happen at Warner Brothers? Like, well, it's a totally different situation. And you have like a corporation and then you have an entertainment company. And so you have like it's weird for Ann Sarnoff kind of, I think, to come out and talk about the DC brand like she did, because that's kind of like Walter Hamada's job, right? Or maybe that's going to be like the producer's job. And so you don't always, a lot of these people are more like suits and they're in charge of corporate things.
They're not the people talking to fans, right? Like,
yeah, exactly. And they never have a reason to. They don't have a face or
that's not their job.
Yeah, like his job is to make boardroom decisions, and then and then Walter Hamada really should be the one the closest they've got to a Feige that should be out there talking to people. And so in the same way that like you're not going to see Jason Kylar commenting on a lot of this stuff, because while he is like engaged and he's kind of from that like tech bubble, he's not going to undermine his people. He's going to let them do their job until they're not doing their job the way they should, at which point he will deal with it behind the scenes. And then I wouldn't expect him to come out and be like, I disagree with Anne on all of these things, and so she is being removed and we will restore the Snyderverse. Like, that's not gonna.
Isn't that weird though? Who gave Anne the green light on that?
Well, because she doesn't need, like, she's the chairman CEO of Warner Brothers, and she is on the hierarchy
networks part, but she's the chairman, but like
Jason is over HBO Max, but they are parallel on the org chart. They're in two different silos, though. She provides content for HBO Max, but he owns the HBO Max as a product. So, like, she owns the content, he owns the platform. She reports. They both report to Stanky.
Right, but like you said, it's two silos, and then she's talking on behalf of HBO Max, pretty much. And like you said earlier, she owes him subscribers because she's doing something.
She's not talking on behalf of HBO Max. She's talking on behalf of the content that she intends to provide to HBO Max.
Of Warner Media Studios, which is what she was. Part of Will's question is so confusing because trying to keep up with the org chart with who's in charge of what and who reports to who, because it changes like every 3 months.
Like it does, yes.
So when he says, who does she report to? Honestly, I don't freaking know. I really don't know, because I thought, okay, wait a minute. She replaced Sujihara.
Like, she answers to no one. Sometimes I think not even to God.
There it is.
I like it.
You know what I kind of wonder though too is, like, when they're looking at the analytics for hashtag restore the Snyderverse, do they also look at the misspellings? I mean,
I can tell you they do. Yeah. We've literally hired someone who does the same thing. So
okay, good. That's what I always wonder. I'm like, they better be looking at the misspelling, because there's restore the Snyderverse, whatever the hell,
Verse, yes,
which actually sounds really enticing. I'd be really interested to see the restored Verse.
Multiverse, I want both.
Yeah, give me the Verse and the Verse. I'll watch both. I
always wonder about that. All right, we also got a question from Carrie right here, so let's see what he has to say.
Hello, everyone on the Vodka stream. Hope you're doing well. I'm with you guys and been enjoying, playing, watching Zack Snyder's Justice League continuously multiple times ever since it was released. My question for you guys tonight is, I'm sure we're all just endlessly fascinated with the whole Nightmare future timeline and just how there's been nothing like that that's been done in DC almost ever, to my knowledge. Or Scott probably knows if it's something like that has ever been done, even remotely close. But my question for you guys is, how do you think that would actually like play out over the course of the movie? Do you think it would be some part of the movie would be events set in the past leading, in the present day timeline leading up to that? Do you think it would just be a hard time jump and just a few montage moments sort of explaining how we got there? Is Lex Luthor in the Injustice League or some variation of that even involved anymore, leading up to the events of the Nightmare timeline? Just the execution of it is what I'm kind of most curious about, and I can't help but think that it would be DC's version of like Days of Future Past almost, which would very much excite me and interest me a whole lot. So just wanted to hear your guys' speculation, potential breakdown. I think it may play out like this kind of conjectures and discussion. Thanks again for all that you guys do, and glad we are here at this stage where we got this the Snyder Cut and hashtag restore the Snyderverse.
There it is.
I like the way that it played out in the breakdown boards.
Yeah.
Which was basically like a bigger version of the BVS nightmare, where you get Lois dies, Superman's like holding her corpse in his arms. He comes to the anti-life equation. Darkseid is like, that's Lex Luthor's fault. Superman goes to Lex Luthor. I think what the board says is that Lex screams as Superman lights him on fire. And then it cuts down to the image, that the one piece of this that we've all seen before, which is where like they go out of the Batcave or whatever, and it's like pillars of fire and parademons coming from, and like that shot in BVS where the camera pans around and you're like, okay, there's this tracking shot. The camera pans around. What the fuck? Parademons and helicopters and like all this. So I feel like it's kind of like that, where it's, and then Flash is pulling Cyborg out of the debris and Batman is there leading people with a whatever. And then Smash to Black 5 years later comes back. The thing about Mankind is introduced to the Superman in BVS. You kind of take and you look at Zach's style, so I think you kind of mesh those two ideas together and you get something like what it would have been.
Isn't the Nightmare future the real timeline, the actual timeline that he lives in?
What's interesting about that is like what Joker says, like how many alternate timelines have you, just because you refuse to die. That line always stuck with me. And like, okay, is there like are we going to talk about like multiple timelines and everything? Yeah, I don't know.
How is he aware of multiple timelines? Like, there's a multiverse, but I'm not aware. Oh, there's another Benjamin somewhere.
It's like Terminator, man. Come on.
Yeah,
but Joker is also a character that, because he has such a thin grasp on reality due to his cuckoo, it has been. There is precedent that people who have a mental illness in the DC universe makes them more attuned to these crisis type level events, because they can see things that other people can't see because they're not playing with a full deck.
I thought it was him talking to the audience, letting them know, hey, there's multiple timelines and this motherfucker refused to die in every single one of them.
Or he's just saying hypothetically there are.
Yeah, he's just trying to push his buttons kind of thing.
Right.
I mean, they go back and forth pushing each other's buttons.
I did think that line plays really interestingly off of the Aquaman saying, we have a saying that no one returns from the darkness unless one is given in return. And then Wonder Woman is like, we say the same thing. And then like, oh, wait, where does this whole thing end? When Batman decides to sacrifice himself for Superman, who is the one that they brought back from the dead. Right. So it felt very like, all civilizations have this saying that you can't bring someone back without sacrificing someone. And you bring back Superman, you lose Lois Lane until Batman says, okay, make it me instead. And that's how the whole thing concludes.
It's the alchemist model.
Yeah.
You can give something. You cannot get something unless you give something in return.
What's the something of equal value must be given.
There you go.
But I mean, going to the I mean, I've been saying this forever, ever since I had a weekend where I watched literally Fury Road and Book of Eli back to back, I'm going, yeah, why would you not want to explore this world more where you have like this, post-apocalyptic wasteland, and you have DC characters, you have Batman, you have all these characters, you have these characters that are trying to survive in this kind of way. Why would you not want to explore that more? And it seems like the response that people are having, especially to the nightmare sequence, is like, yeah, we want to see where this goes. We want to see if they succeed. What happens? What are they trying to do? Even Snyder has said that, hey, it's essentially going to be like a heist movie for Justice League 2. Is going to be mostly in the nightmare world. It's not going to just be like one or two scenes. It was going to be a good chunk. There's going to be, present day, there's going to be a chunk where it's like, okay, the Justice League, they're working together, everything's good, whatever the hell. But then there's going to be a chunk that's going to take place in this alternate timeline. And so I just don't see, like, how could you not want to explore that more? What other characters can you put in there in the nightmare version? Who survived this thing?
Well, when he talks about the idea of there almost being like a Fury Road-esque chase scene, like when Joker
Fury Road Batmobile or something like that. Come on.
Yeah, and you got like Joker getting the mother box so they can build the cosmic treadmill. I guess my only question becomes, does the movie, when you structure the movie, if you think it's going to be a long-ass Snyder movie, the question becomes, does it end with them getting Flash to go back to the correct point in time, or does that just end the nightmare sequence and then the movie picks up in? Because going back to your point, Ben, you got to think that there was the way things originally played out. That was timeline number 1. Then you have Flash going back in time to the wrong point in time in BVS, and then that creates timeline number 2.
Yeah.
Then
Flash, which is the one that we've been living in
which is the one we've been watching.
Number 1 is where Batman dies in the nightmare that we saw in BVS.
Yeah.
And then Nightmare 2, timeline 2 is what we're watching right now because Flash is mess with the timeline, but that didn't work out well because basically by the time you get to Justice League 3 and they actually win, that's going to be timeline number 3 because that's when Batman realizing we've tried this before, we still fucked everything up. Let's do the hat trick. Barry, go back to this point in time, and then that's when we get the way the rest of the arc plays out and the way that Snyder's entire saga ends is on basically timeline number 3.
In terms of just drawing out the narrative and what we see on screen, that's how it would look. But I do think between 2 and 3, it's an infinite multiverse, and then it keeps looping until Batman makes the switch. Right? Flash does something, it makes it work. Batman makes the sacrifice. The nightmare never happens. That's the end point.
Right.
That's the exit from the loop.
Right? I think that what's a little bit weird trying to think about it structurally. My impression is that if you look at the breakdown boards that were released at the very beginning, so this is what they pitched. Literally, this is how they pitched 3 Justice League movies to Warner Brothers, because originally they said there's going to be 2. The beginning of the breakdown board says, I know we talked about 2 movies, but what if we turned this one into 2 movies? And the way that it looks to me is what they did was they said, okay, we have this nightmare timeline. What if instead of the nightmare timeline being glimpsed and happening in the background, what if we just did a nightmare movie in the middle, and all of the nightmare stuff we actually see? So instead of like, we know that it happens and then it resolves, what if we just went there and played that whole thing out? And that's what turned it from 2 movies to 3 movies, is by basically extending the nightmare portion.
Because I think what gets cut out from the original plan is I don't think you get the Injustice League stuff.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Because that all kind of sets up the nightmare, and then the whole point of Justice League 3, which would have been, I think, the pure Justice League 2 if you never had that turned it into a trilogy, is the third movie is the one that's more focused on Superman. So to me, I think, and what I think is why people have trouble figuring out the structure, is because the nightmare needs to be both created and then play out enough for it to be a mostly nightmare movie in Justice League 2. But then in Justice League 3, it's a New Gods invasion movie, and you need Superman to be the hero for most of that movie, which would mean therefore that probably the end of Justice League 2 is when the Flash goes through and fixes it for Bruce, and where Bruce sacrifices himself. So does that mean there's no Batman in Justice League 3, or does that mean that I think in the original breakdown Batman was just injured for all of Justice League, for all of the end of the story? He was like Omega beamed but kind of survived. So I think that's kind of where it gets wonky, is like, okay, wait, so because the chase scene in the breakdown boards literally ended with they went straight to the mother box, or straight to the cosmic treadmill mother box thing, and that'll happen at the very end of the heist, which to me implies that would be the finale of Justice League 2. Because also you don't want to stretch out this Injustice Evil Superman into Justice League 3, because then you're eating up this is the Man of Tomorrow is supposed to be this is Superman in all its glory, and you don't want that to be the last half or the last quarter of that movie. You want that to be the whole thing is him being the glorified Superman. So there's something there that we don't know, which if we ever do see it play out, I think is going to be a bit of a surprise. But there's definitely something there's a puzzle piece missing, just like how Lois dying in the Batcave was always a puzzle piece missing until he was like, oh, by the way, this is why that happened. It's
I'm surprised, Garza, you're not telling everybody hey, I fucking told you. Because
this is all future state now.
Yeah. I mean, we always said it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Oh, and by the way, guys, if you want your minds to be blown, I was DMing Steven some of this. If you listen to Snyder's new commentary on the BVS remaster, he drops a lot of context, especially about the nightmare sequence in BVS. So I'm just saying, there's some good eating to be done when you go listen to that in the commentary, because it's not even the commentary from the Vero. It is completely brand new recorded commentary with Zack Snyder's Justice League context added to what he's saying.
Oh man, I gotta listen to that shit. But I mean, yeah, when it came to the whole Lois, I mean, that was one of the things where I went, "Oh!" I yelled out, "They did it!" And then my next thought was, I'm not going to hear the end from fucking Garza. Damn it, shit.
I mean, because everybody was like, "No, they don't think." No.
Well, no, except for the fact that I'm not going to say you were wrong, because I think you were right. But I think the argument to be, if we're going to talk about the nuance of the argument, was that we didn't get that as a scene. We just got it as a thing that happens. It was a vignette for context. Right. So Ray Porter didn't reshoot that. Lois Lane didn't shoot that. We don't see what happened. We just see Zack Snyder is by the way, it's canon that Lois dies. See ya.
Just picturing Amy Adams in the mocap suit laying.
Henry Cavill wasn't even there because that was Man of Steel footage.
Yeah. They probably asked her to interview. Hey, so you died in Justice League? What?
Well, but also
that was me.
Well, no, but also keep in mind that Wonder Woman, did she know that she did a funeral pyre?
No, she didn't know.
I know. Was that yeah? Did she?
That's the one that I'm the most confused about, because I'm pretty sure that he fabricated everything that's not in the storyboard that Dave and I had from 2 years ago, from 2018.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That had Darkseid on the throne, the world being destroyed, the Hall of Justice fly over. I think that because he had to work it into the story, he fabricated using old footage, Superman holding Lois's body, and Aquaman and Volko dying. I think also because you don't see the clean look at his face. I think they did a very good job. They did a very good job with both of those, though.
He shot all his.
Right, you might be right, because even Connie Nielsen's tears are fucking CGI.
Yeah, and then you look at the background and you look at the lack of detail in the other Amazon, but the way that shot is constructed, I think, is the most of all of the ones that he fabricated, because you can see that's Man of Steel, that's BVS. He's inserting a new footage of Superman. That one is looks like new footage because we got nothing to compare it to, and that's one of my favorite shots from that nightmare as a result.
Yeah,
I mean, because when we saw the Hallelujah trailer, we saw that shot where we see the Justice League Hall in ruins. But it was just that. And then you see it here. He was like, all right, we're going to have Superman holding the
Kilowog.
We're going to have a Kilowog.
What is that? He's like, yeah, Kilowog's in the movie.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay. But it's just like, I mean, he just kind of makes you wonder, like, hey, when he just kind of went, fuck it. Just put that in there, put that in there, put that in there. Let's just do it, And when it comes to that particular, because even when Cyborg is like jacked into the ship in the mother box, and the ship even says like what's a line that it says, like the present or the future
the future has taken root in the present,
something like that. Yeah, and I think that because I know that Carla Gugino, she came back and did some ADR. That's why everybody always wonders about that that shot of Batman and Catwoman that he posted on Vero. Everybody's like, oh my God, what's happening? That was just Zach just being, because he heard that a lot of people were talking about Carla Gugino as Catwoman, and he just went, hey, look what everybody's saying. I'm going to post this. He's just fucking Zach, just fucking with people. And that's what I love about him. It's like everybody always goes, what does it mean? And he's just going, I'm just messing with it. It's good. It's good. And the fact of the matter is like she did some 80, and I'm wondering if that line was actually added to that part. I'm wondering if that was added ADR from her.
I think she did.
But it's also an Excalibur quote, so I can totally see Zach just like here.
Well, but also I think that 100% of the ship dialogue is ADR, or not as ADR, but is new. I think he recorded that all in 2020. But then also 100% of the Nightmare footage was created in 2020. I think that and that was the thing we talked about before on the stream, was I said I don't know how much Nightmare they let him do in principle, and now we know the answer is 0. If Zack Snyder's movie had ended up in theaters theatrically in 2017, if he never left the movie, it would have been a nightmare-less. Well, unless he did something similar to this, where like the WB is like, when did you shoot that? And he's like, oh, well, I shot that when I shot Man of Steel, and I shot that when I shot BBS. Like, no, take that out. I also shot Jon Stewart. Can I leave him in?
In my driveway. Oh my God.
Yeah. Imagine being an executive trying to control his movies like Whack-A-Mole, where it's like, whoa, wait, where did this come from? When did you shoot that? Where did that?
Man, I know there's so much to unpack, especially with that scene. And then, but at the same time, it's, that Warner Brothers wanted him to be like, no, you got to wrap it up. You got to wrap it up. And he's like, no, I'm not going to wrap it up. I'm going to fucking do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to keep all this other stuff. And then, even with the Martian Manhunter scene at the very end, that was obviously reshot because, you look at Ben, and even though Ben looks like in great shape, he's a little smaller than he was throughout the rest of the movie. And obviously that was originally supposed to be the Green Lantern scene, but they reconstructed it to Martian Manhunter. And first off, what do you guys think about Martian Manhunter's design? I don't know if we touch base with that. If you guys like it? Dice liked it.
Well, I mean, it's kind of like, it's a hard one to get. You'd have to be an idiot to get it wrong. Like you'd have to know you are going to piss people off.
Yeah.
Before you piss them off. I mean, he made it like the detailing in the alien stuff, actually making his skin look alien. I thought was a cool touch, but yeah, I mean, it was a case of like, oh, that's Martian Manhunter.
Yeah.
Which I guess out of this cast is actually like, wow, way to stick to the script, Zach. Like, geez, that's so obvious.
This is the first time that it's been on cinema. I mean, on a cinematic environment. And it's not like somebody's going to say, whoa, that's not my Martian. It's nobody keeping Martian Manhunt.
Well, no, there's some people saying that he looked better on the CW Supergirl.
Yeah.
So that's no, I'm not kidding you.
No, I took a dive down that route when it was all leaked out because I already seen it. And I was like, you know what? And let me just see what people are saying. A lot of people are like, look what they did to my boy. And then they were comparing it. And I was like, I mean, I'm like, okay, they did a good job on CW. Okay, fine. Yeah. But this is cinematic. And the way that the X on the costume, the way that is, and I don't know.
It looked good.
Yeah, it looked good. And then you have Harry Lennox talking out of that fucking face. Okay, that's Harry Lennox you're talking about, that voice. Anyways, Rob, what do you think about the design?
Yeah, I'm a Dice. I actually quite like the design, and obviously Lennox is like one of the most beautiful voice, beautiful man. Everything about him is awesome. I cannot say the same for his role in the film. I did not like that, but I like him and the design and the actor. I just think, yeah. Also, I just didn't like the way he was used for the limited time.
Yeah,
does not.
That's another thing that that's probably one of my gripes is the fact that the world does not feel like it's present when this is happening. It's all very contained. The Man of Steel and Batman vs Superman, the world was there. There's government. Obviously, Harry Lennox, big part of that. He's in both, and he's watching all these events happening. We don't get that with this. It's all just kind of like, hey, it's all happening, these characters, but the world is really not present. And that's where, that's where I'm kind of, I wish there was more Harry Lennox. Like, what is he doing during this? I mean, yes, we know he's Martian Manhunter, but as he's General Swanwick, what is he doing during all of this? So, yeah.
There was no military or that big global threat.
Well, military with with Superman.
Well, that's when Sam Benjamin made its appearance. So
that's where Green Lantern showed up.
That's my theory that I told Steven about, where the next Justice League movie would have been Martian Manhunter's time to shine. My whacked out theory that's him at the end of the nightmare and not Superman.
Shapeshifter.
Oh, his eyes glow. There's more than one character. They only ever say him, and then Bruce Wayne wakes up having had that mental vision because John is showing him.
That's true. And then
Flash triggered the first nightmare.
He's nowhere to be found in the nightmare future.
But that I'm conflicted because I like that he found a way to give Swanwick and Lois a scene.
Yeah.
That kind of, even if there aren't more movies, that's its fine own little arc of like him being standoffish to them having a kind of camaraderie in BVS, and then him reaching out to her from an emotional place for the third one. I like that. So I'm happy with that. I am also very fond of was it Leslie Jones who was like, who the fuck is that? They just heard at him in the hallway. So.
She gave a perfect commentary, just like just being that general audience member and just saying the stuff that she said.
Also, as if I couldn't love Diane Lane enough, she filmed a scene where they're like, okay, and then you close the door, and then you like look just like shady as shit, because this is when you're going to turn
open up your eyes and
I the first time I saw, because we knew it was coming, obviously, and so my question was always, how is this going to not be like, how is everyone not going to act how Leslie Jones reacted? And then I saw it and I was like, oh yeah, everyone's going to react the way Leslie Jones reacted. And the more I see it, I don't want to say it like, it's still weird, and there's still a little bit of like, why take that away? Why take that moment away from Lois and Martha?
Yeah.
But what I found was really interesting, it felt so out of place, but the more I've watched it, you're talking about it fits directly thematically in with the scene, because you're bouncing back and forth where you have the Justice League surrounding the boxes talking about bringing Superman back to the world, and then you have Martian Manhunter approaches Lois to talk to her to get Lois back into the world, right? And they're talking about the importance of Superman and how much they miss him, and Swanwick says the world needs Lois Lane too, as the League is talking about how to bring back Superman. So it definitely fits there. Like it's perfect.
But
and then also it answers
about Superman and Clark. I was like, wait, why do you feel this way about Clark? And
the same theme hits if it's Diane Lane as Martha.
But the difference
is in the right place, but it's just
no. But that was my second point about that, though, is that the reason it's Martian Manhunter, because he makes more. It doesn't make sense for Martha to be there, right? That's kind of the whole weird thing that's weird about it, is when he leaves, you're like, wait, how is she going to explain that to Martha? Which he's Martian Manhunter, he can go and plant the memory in Martha, so that's fine. But there is a weird bit about like, why isn't Lois ever like, wait, you just got it foreclosed and you live in Kansas, what are you doing in Metropolis? And also because he knows that Martha is the one that's going to be able to deliver the message that Lois needed to hear. But then also there's that question of like, everyone is like, "What? So you're saying Swanwick was Martian Manhunter this whole time and he never intervened?" And it's like, well, look at this. You've got Swanwick. He's Martian Manhunter. He's in the DoD. He's the first person from the government Superman meets. That's where he needs to be, right? You've got he doesn't expose himself and give away his identity by joining in the against Zod. He tries to stop it fails, but he tries to stop the president from nuking Superman. And he does at least succeed in delaying it so that the blast doesn't impact anybody in the area. And now we know that, at least in this instance, but probably in more, he's been going around taking people's identities to tweak and pull and influence people. Because if Lois Lane, if Martian Manhunter didn't go and convince Lois Lane to leave her apartment, she would not have been there, and Superman would have killed the entire Justice League. Yeah. So, I don't know how much he knew about what.
Maybe he's just a guy trying to do the right thing, Steven.
That's all he is. That's all he's doing.
So I don't know if Martian Manhunter knew that they were going to bring Superman back and was planning for Lois to be there. It feels like too much 4D chess for me.
Yeah, I know. It almost seems like if they do like a next one, like they're gonna go back and be like, oh, this is like maybe he was this character.
Is where he was.
Like, that's where he was.
Oh yeah, but Zach already said that he was Swanwick the whole time. So
okay.
But use footage of like
Pete.
Before
I I'm gonna get off. I'm getting off. No. I'm getting off. He's not gonna get off first. I'm getting off first.
Oh, you guys need to leave? You're all leaving?
Yeah. Well, yeah, because I'm
yeah, you guys are a spin. Okay, Scott. Yeah. I don't know. Should we just end the whole thing? Everybody seems like they're spent.
I was just saying, I love you guys, and I love that I could be right, but I'm tired right now.
All right, we can end this right now. It's fine. It's fine.
You mean they don't all have to go 5 hours, Dave? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, we don't have to go 5 hours today. It's fine. No, but like when it comes to ending the Martian Manhunter thing, it's all I want is more. I just want more, and I thought, just hearing Harry Lennox and seeing the design, it's all good on my side. But anyways, guys, all right, we'll go around the horn. Let's go ahead and wrap this up. And Scott, you're last because you always send us off. So go ahead, Steven.
Dice, you can go first.
Yeah. You can find me on Twitter at Andrew B. Dice. You can find me writing and editing and doing all sorts of wizardry at screenrant.com. You can also find me eventually back on BVS by the minute. We also I've got an hour-long spoiler conversation of Steven and I talking about Justice League to edit before we get into the actual forced to be brief part breakdowns of Justice League. There's a bit of a delay thanks to Fantastic Life stuff. The good news is I will soon be moving with the Dice family, so you will have a new office to see behind me.
Nice.
I'll try to recreate this as exactly as I can. But yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. I had pizza in my mouth.
Go ahead, Steven.
So I'll jump back in now. Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at SM Colbert and at Screen Rant. Also writing and editing. I just did the Snyder Cut proves that Warner Brothers ruined their best chance to compete with Marvel. People seem to like that one. And so if you want my full thoughts on the Ann Sarnoff situation and just general WB handling of this property in the past 5 years, kind of worked out some emotion in that one. And then, BVS by the minute. We'll be back to that once we get Justice League by the minute on the roll, and we have some of that stuff on the way. And in the meantime, join our Patreon and listen to us talk about whether or not that's Lex Luthor's pee for an hour.
Oh man, hot pee talk. All right, Garza.
Yeah, man. You could find me. I actually just wrote an article too, as well, like Steven, but kind of a little different, where I'm calling out Ann Sarnoff. I don't get it. So confused. But me and Ben, my co-hosts over here, we do a show every Wednesday and Sunday. He could tell you the times because it's Eastern time. But yeah, man. Thank you for having me.
No problem, man.
This time, whatever.
Again, Garza, like I said, this this clip encapsulates like how I felt.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah. All right, Ben.
John is so petty. Anyway. You can catch me every Wednesday at 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time and every Sunday at 6:30 Eastern Standard Time with my buddy here, Mr. Garza, on the Real Emotion Podcast on the Real Anarchy channel. You can always catch me on the Twitter, Mr._Everett, and all social media platforms.
There it is. Rob?
Yeah, on Twitter you can find me at Rob_Keys with the extra E down here. And then usually every night I do a kind of a semi-secret stream on Twitch, twitch.tv/FailCube, and you can see the writing and mastery of Andrew and Steven and hundreds of others and our growing army of people on screen, man. So check it out.
There it is. All right, Scott, bring us home.
Of course, you can find me on Twitter, ScottDC27. You can find my podcast, the DC Film Squadcast, wherever podcasts can be found. We're also on Vero, Facebook, YouTube. You can find the entire network of shows at squadcastmedia.com.
Here it is. Always so good. Wow, yeah. Something's coming up with me and Scott, too. I'm going to tease that because it's coming up shortly. It's going to be pretty fantastic.
It's coming up fast.
It's coming up. Oh, yeah. Oh, he's teasing it right now. I mean, obviously, it's going to be something Batman related. But you guys, hey, make sure you subscribe. Hit that like, thumbs up. Hit that like, thumbs up. Do all that stuff. Join Patreon. All that stuff. It's all provided down below. And all the plugs. Like I said, thank you to Mr. Bioe for giving me this right here. This carved out of wood flag right here with Zack Snyder Justice League. Awesome stuff. My buddy who had the Drinky Uno card deck thing, that. And I forgot what else. Who cares? Anyways, all right, guys, we will talk to you later. And we've had a lot of fun tonight. Thank you guys for joining me. And we'll see you soon.